Hey, we are live. Today is Monday, the 10th of September 2018. And on the panel with us, we have obviously Ash, the Astral Thief. We have Flat Earth Dude. And guests, we have David, who is IndiGlow channel, and I over creator. And that is Andy, who then they work together and do their brilliant stuff on the law of the land.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Kenny. Flat Earth Dude, Indy and Andy. How's things?
Yeah, how you doing, Astro?
Evening, brother. All right, my man. I am good.
Right.
Charged.
Good, yes.
Thank you.
Looking forward to a nice little chit chat with you guys. Should be interesting. See what we can come up with, and maybe see what the chat room wants to ask.
Exactly. I like it.
If the chat room questions will be great for Andy and David. David, you put a video out today or yesterday, didn't you? A little video?
I may have done, yes. I may have done one. What of it? Yes, sister. Yeah, indeed I did.
Do you want to explain a little bit about your video?
Oh, I'm just thinking now. No, which one have you seen? Because I've done quite a few. I've done about 3 in the last few days. I did one promoting this video chat tonight.
I think, sorry to interrupt you there, Andy. I think that's what I was on about today. There's one with like hay bales in it, two effigies with hay bales. What was all that about?
Oh, it's just a thumbnail. It was just a video topic. Did it have a title there? I believe there was a title to it. I'm not being facetious. I've had a little.
I remember seeing it, but then I'm listening to things as I put the phone in my pocket, so I'm not looking at things all the time. But
yeah.
Thumbnail, yeah, but I think it was off your holiday.
Sun and Moon Hangout. Oh yeah, I did. It was titled Sun and Moon Hangout, and I said that we'll be talking about random topics, laid back topics, just introducing Andy to the family, and then just going through general topics, because I have a feed of viewers, interactive chat, isn't there, when you do the video? So that was those hay bales are straw men, believe it or not, of Hungary, Magyar. When they've finished the season and the grass is cut, the sunflowers and the corns, the grapes are in, and they're getting pressed and everything, then they know that the good times are coming. So they wrap up the hay bales and dress them up like men, if you like, and they celebrate in all the villages, in the cities. Not so much, but the villages, this is their income and their staple. So it's a complete divide from the city and the town life, the village life, to that of the town and the city. So I just thought it was quite endearing that we deal with the straw man and the fiction. And I'm like, the straw man in the fiction, look at this, you just couldn't make this up. So thumbnail used, because legal, fiction. I thought that was a unique, eye-catching thumbnail to promote the chat we're having tonight on here, which, don't ask me what I said, the usual ramble.
Oh, we love you, did.
Cheers for that, Andy.
And
but if you watch the video, yeah, sorry, go on, sister.
I just said we appreciate you and all you do, and thank you for all the time and effort that you put in to tell us the way it really is, legally.
Well, the way that we've had a look out the window, and we've done a bit of research and applied a little bit, but the way that it appears, reality appears, is it's quite misleading, and we can tell you.
Are you real or are you real?
This is it, the Matrix. We are waking up to a new consciousness, aren't we? A new way of thinking, a new way of speaking, communicating, instrumentation, new trust technology that's not new. It's just insane. But Andy's been
uses these words. Before he came on, Andy, you want to say it? Schooling is fooling, and there was the rest of it.
Well, schooling is fooling, isn't it? It's an indoctrination. It's a narrative. It is what it is. Schooling is just simply fooling. A religion is dividing, and all the rest is just ruling.
Yeah, that's about right, isn't it? Unfortunately.
Absolutely. That's why man is born into the land for remedy, with free will and free desire, and to go about his life graciously with dignity, not to be imposed upon by another.
Yeah, and with respect. We've lost
Absolutely.
respect for what it is anymore.
Well, consideration, that's what the consideration is. It's respect. It's respect for yourself and others. If you have no consideration, you have no respect. Consideration is the most valuable thing we have.
Love, consideration. Yeah, consideration comes from
It's
love.
all there.
So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. It's
And
caring.
you also have your
Considerate.
signature, which is your valuable consideration when you put your pen to paper. You give valuable consideration every time.
And patience is lost, hasn't it? I know that's not necessarily what the thing that you're about, but there is no patience anymore. People don't have patience.
I say it's a virtue.
Yeah, it's an endearment. You know, it's you stop for a little old lady and help them. You know, to take time out your day to help even someone that's not little and old and a lady, but just somebody that needs help, and it's nice feeling. But you'd not often people don't get the time to stop and help. No, or they don't feel the need. They should.
Yeah, you're kind of here as teachers, aren't you, to teach us that actually everything we're saying is wrong. And we can get ourselves into messes because of what we say, because we don't realise what we're saying.
I only speak of my own belief system, that which I've come to understand through reading various books, various Bibles, dictionaries, and come to understand that the bastardized language which is being evoked against us, imposed against us, which is to trespass against us, is that of a foreign language which we are indoctrinated with at school. So schooling is falling in the legalese realm. It's all there in your eyes, but we're not aware of this when we're going through it. And neither are the pair that rent the offspring, the pair rents. They are there to just simply pay for the asset that is there for the state. The state to assume the husbandry role, and you are there as the trustee to perpetually pay the debt for it. Although they claim to have the vested interest through the educational system.
Pardon me. Well said, brother.
It was really strange having this chat with David when he first came on, and he said basically our children are our property. That bit, but you have to have it like that, otherwise.
Children, a child is a property of a corporation. We regard them as offspring, the fruits of our loins.
Blood, yeah.
It's exactly that, with our vested interest, that our manifestations and our action. They're not here without us. There is no them without us, and that's how to go forward. Property is what's proper to me. And I can distinguish that which is exclusive to all others within a society. It's that which is proper to me only. That's how I describe my property and my assets to me.
But go on, Sister. She was going to explain that's true and correct. Yeah, this was the first time I met them, so I had to go on like, you know, half gear and build up to the crescendo of whatever. But I think she was going to say that they found it ironic and quite bizarre for man to claim that your child registered, which we know now how to term. But we'll speak at ease. I will for now anyway, and just speak in normal babble for you. I won't be using technical terms. But when I explain that the property of the child is, you know, property and yeah, it's not theirs, and they're like, this can't be right. You found it quite a shock, didn't you, Sister?
Yeah. Well, to register, when you register your child, your property of the course, right, of the corporation, you're giving it away. Much when you register your car, or you register your business, or you register your house. To register is to beg to give. Then you submit the paperwork, and you're begging again. So you're begging to beg to give the allodial title and ownership of the property.
Yeah.
Whether
not realising that we're
exactly. Whether that be flesh and blood or a Ford Cortina or bricks and mortar.
Ford Cortina is showing your age there, kid. Hey, get that Ford Cortina, was it, eh?
Oh, Dave want to buy a Cortina?
Yeah, I'll have it. I will actually. They're worth a fortune. Anyone with a Ford Cortina, please contact Andy or Dave. We'll have it.
Remember them?
Yeah, they weren't bad. But
even, yeah,
so
that's how it is.
Distracted,
and that's what it is by consideration. When you put in your consideration, when you put in your pen to the paper, when you're registering these things, when you're giving away these things, you must give valuable consideration. And that's what I was speaking of earlier. Everything is consideration. Some of it is more valuable than others, that's all. Some of it has a monetary value.
But the nicest thing is that Jerry, I mean, I know there's probably other people, but there's you two who can explain even about, like, I love that one that David did about being, you know, like when they come knocking on your door and you open the door and you say all these things, and actually you should be saying completely, otherwise you're going to get arrested. They can arrest you easily because you're saying the wrong things.
Well, what is to arrest? If you stop me in the street to ask me questions, you've already arrested me. You already stopped my motion. If you have a cardiac arrest, it's already stopped. You can't then threaten to have a further arrest. It's already been arrested.
It's very technical, look, see, tonight. I don't know what's happened here. It's not normally like this.
I'm sorry.
It's changed. Andy, where are you? Are you there, mate?
I'm helping. I'm just saying
Yeah.
what it is. It's
Yeah.
what's going on here.
Yeah, go on. Break it down a bit, yeah.
It's simply that when an officer of the sea, of the Admiralty and Maritime Force of Law comes for you, that's what's happening right there, you see. And we're to learn to know whom we are in that realm, in that jurisdiction of the law, to be a person or a man. And it's all these things that we're bringing forward. It does seem quite bizarre and 180 from that which we know. But when you're looking in the right places, the factual evidence is there. We can back it, we can prove it. And it's the remedy for life, it's the remedy for law. It sounds quite bizarre, but all these words are not as we know them. And it's only the words that they cast their spells against us with that we believe. And we have to learn how to repel and dispel any of those spells claimed against us. That's all as it is. It's the trickery and the magic of the words. And I'm just trying to pull a few out tonight that are put into everyday narrative sentences, which we babble to each other, we utter to each other, not fully comprehending and understanding that which we are saying to one another. That's all. And when you bring it forth to any self-given authority or courts or anybody with cloaks, cloths, anything of that realm, then you must fully comprehend that which you are wishing for when you cast your spells.
Yeah, spelling. I don't even realise it. Have you done your spelling today at school?
Exactly. It's all in the spells. They're casting a spell against you. You must learn to repel and dispel it.
Yeah. So how's it all going with you two, with your trust?
Yeah, it's going good. It's going busy.
Very busy.
Very busy. Yeah.
David, you've been away on holiday, haven't you? Well, sort of holiday.
Yeah, there was a medical mission at hand there, and then we visited family at the same time. There was a mission to get a scan for our queen, but yes, it's all good. I see quite a lot, political insurgents in Bosnia at the minute. It didn't allow me to go through, to see the pyramid, so that was a little bit disappointing. Political, what's happening with the world, migrants and so forth, and Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia are having their little spat again about independence, and well, it's not a little spat, but it annoyed me. But to them, their homes and stuff they're talking about, and
another legalese word there, migrant. There's only man.
Yeah, this is it, and they're mixing us all up, and I've seen with my own eyes, and being out to places, the rest of the realm, Greece, Italy, Hungary, bit of Europe, and I've been to some places, and they're everywhere's the same. Everywhere's the man is maybe speaking a different tongue, but they're the same, and it just makes you think there's nothing more important than, you guys, us, most man wants to know what the meaning of life is, or whom we are, and our identity and focus and direction, and I think we've found half of it.
The purpose. What is the purpose? That's
who are we? What are we? What is the meaning, the purpose, the meaning of life? And we've kind of stumbled across half of that answer.
We've come across the formula. That's what I've come across, the formula to the purpose and why and how to apply it.
It's got a trust is the trust, we have many trusts. There's a trust of, we're in a constant trust, a trust of man. If you're in a common law relationship and you're not actually married, with a license and all of that, then you're in a common law relationship, partnership, no, we wouldn't call it that, or relationship, but you are like soulmates.
Common law togetherness.
Joined by your, I'm doing this on purpose, so your soulmates joined by your bond, your word. You have no legal attachment or license or, anything like that. And so you're in a trust relationship, a common law trust relationship, because you've given each other your word. Your word is your
You're each
bond.
other's property now.
And there's more than the trust realm that we talk about with asset protection or the CQV and these other trusts that, you know, NHS and the schools and academies and X, Y, and Z, DVLA. There's lots of trust, but there's ultimately the trust of man. And, you know, this is what we're here to help restore, because man is, you know, you've said quite adversarial and mixed up, and here we are trying to work out the language that when we think we're quite clever, you know, we've got a business and I turn over 200,000, you know, my daddy drives a Jaguar and we're quite sophisticated. I'll have you know, I play a piano and speak 5 languages. I understand the money system very well, you know, and they don't. And we're not quite clever and we're quite arrogant, and we'd like just to have a chat in a relaxed environment about how we can help you guys or your viewers better have a safer, happier, healthier life. And if they've got any problems, I'd like to take some questions on that and ballpark some scenarios. We don't give legal advice. We're just two brothers that, you know, we're part of a bigger family of man, and we have a different way of seeing and, you know, acting. We've stopped acting and we've started performing deeds, and our deeds are quite different to how acts are done. And acts and deeds, you know, is the powerful things, and you need to know.
Yeah, all is performance. It's how you perform, and your performance requires just and fair compensation exchange each time. You must perform and there must be an exchange. They're the words in the law, rather than, like you say, enact and enroll. For the acts and the statutes and the force of law and the protocol and legislation that the government trespass against you with.
Yeah, and it's not these, just because we've learned this system, we don't endorse it, we don't promote it, we're not encouraging, you know, the prolonged use of it. All we're saying is that there's a methodology here, and there's clues in the languages, there's clues in the paper proclamations that they've done, and the bills and the acts and the statutes, and yeah,
there's lawful remedy to legal claims.
Yeah, if you've got any questions in the audience or in the viewers or anything they've got in their life they'd like to paraphrase, then we could, I think we could be productive there. Or health and wealth, we're good at that, aren't we, brother? We like health and wealth and mental side of it and this kind of stuff. We are quite knowledgeable in the, you know.
That's right. Break it down to the subatomic levels and bring it right back up to the hand of man and the creator. That's what it's all about. The inward manifestation, the outward attraction, the laws of nature, how we magnetize to one another, how we reverberate, and how we all harmonize in the same frequencies. This is where we've got to come together right there in unity.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. Much as I really appreciate everything, sad isn't a formula.
That's what it is. It's all written on the tin. What do they give you, baby? Formula. You see, it's all there in your face. It's the formula for life. It's all there written in the book. It's the book of life, not individual, but it's just the book of life, rather than the book of the Dead Seas, the entities and the commercial corporate bodies and the body corporates that they are dealing with in the force of law realm, the jurisdiction of the water, the maritime and admiralty laws and canons and ecclesiasticals that's been imposed against the person. And when man thinks it's a person, that's when you get trouble.
Can I just say that in the chat room is James Mason. He lives in New Zealand, and he feels that they are there's laws to this whole thing. They're in 8 laws, and it's all to do with anxiety. And he's just said, "Oh, they're talking about consciousness."
Now, what he lives in the same common law jurisdiction as we do, and he has the same realm that we do, and he can also evoke the same equity and trust that we speak of, as well as the divine law. So he shouldn't have a problem. He will have a birthing docking certificate, and he will be able to evoke the proper jurisdiction of law when he has the correct verbiage.
Yeah, he's trying to take his to education for the children, and so that he's starting to go political about it. That they've got leaflets and the education system.
I'm afraid political is just a stage. As Shakespeare told us, the world is a stage, and those puppets that enact and enroll upon that stage are merely that of another society other than ours. They are oathed and sworn into that society, and they are there for the legalese realm. It's the legal society that they are all oathed to, and it's the rules of their game, it's the rules of their society, it's the rules of their work, not ours. And it's imposed upon our person that the government has made from thin air the fictional name Man made the government, and the government made the person to impose itself upon. They can only look after commercial realm. They cannot touch man. Government is set up by man to look after the commercial realm, the commercial property. And in 1666, behind the Great Smoke of London, they bonded man and collateralized it to the country and to the banks. And that's what's happened right there. And in 1931 in this country, when they removed the Gold Standard Act from the money, we now have a substanceless currency that run on a belief system. That's why we're never going to get out of this perpetual debt system until it cracks or crashes. And then they're going to change us over to the unique identity cards and the electronic means that are coming forth now as we speak, the cashless society that they're enrolling. It's all a part of Agenda 21 and 2030 ultimately.
Well, what was he, the gentleman saying? What was he was saying he was doing what? Sorry, because it broke up on me.
Andy,
Hello?
I think he just wants you to say the last bit again. He didn't hear it. David didn't hear it.
No. What I heard, Andy, what Andy said. I didn't hear what was what you said. Who said what? What was that in response to?
I sort of I was explaining that James he's got his theories and he's writing a book, and I'm putting his little videos out on Sun and Moon because there's these 8 laws of anxiety, and what it is that we think that wisdom is virtuous when it isn't. It's only part of wisdom. You're not giving any virtue anything, you're just giving the negative side of an anxious society. And he thinking that he could change, like get these leaflets out, get the information out, and hopefully people seeing that what he's talking about. He's from New Zealand.
Okay then. So yeah, that's a good idea. We know that there are degrees of separation and degrees of anger, and when you lose a loved one, I know nobody wants to think of that, but we've all at some point lost or had a relationship, we'll say, even that could be comparable breakdown, and you go into the denial and upset and the degrees of that. So we recognize that as trustees, as governors and so forth, that we have guys come up to us that are shaking, tearful, nervous, suicidal, angry. We don't know them from Adam. They don't even have the inclination, and Andy can answer for himself, but when they contact me and do the posts, and we have mentioned this several times, I know Andy's said something to them as a group, like they don't say hello, how are you, my name is, they just go, hi, I need this is what's happening, what do I do? And the amount that it's like man's lost the commonality, just to be polite and say, here I am, thanks for accepting me, whatever, I'm a new member, I've got this torrent of crap to tell you, and please stand by, I'm going to summarize, and will you please have a look and help me? We don't get any of that. We just get desperate, guys that are mixed
selfish.
Up, and they're
because
on
of that anxiety, because of that anxious
fear.
moment that you're speaking of, the fear.
It's good that you do that, because we have seen that there is a triangle as well, and we're not talking trust triangle, but there is a triangle of like the way that the government is there as the one that will help you, the savior, but also it's the public legislation upon your person by default, assumption that's put you in that place. The state puts you in a state, and then the state offers a hand to get you out of that state, but you will never find the remedy from the cause, will you?
Exactly, because it's all a fiction. It's an imagination.
This is what we're saying. We need to separate our man self from the actual realm, and these afflictions. I've compared it to a war. We have compared it to a war. Steve McRae has. I know other talkers have said the same, that it's a faction and it's comparable. General public, the general registrar, the general bondsman, the attorney general. In America they have chief and chiefs and commanders. Commander chief, and this is a military organization. The general, the illegal occupier is an occupier who occupies the military wards of the state.
Combatant. That's
Brother,
right.
There's other references, isn't there? Hospitals are what, schools are what?
Wards of the state, that's right.
A school detention in property, child, we've reserved the right to detain your child. How have you now? Andy, what do we say about detentions, fam?
I respectfully decline your offer to detain my property, and if you go against my wishes, you shall find yourself in front of Queen's Bench forthwith.
Detention is from a military. It's a military, command. To be fair, it's a military.
To be detained is to be imprisoned, and they don't have the capacity nor the insurance to detain any of your property.
Yeah,
They've
that's
become a
see.
detainee. They haven't committed no crime. Why are you punishing my property and turning them into a detainee?
One's put in the chat room, education is kidnapping.
Yeah, the mind. It takes the mind. You repeat. You're not allowed to be creative, are you? You repeat.
Yeah, they mistake it for an education. It's an indoctrination. There is no education there. Schooling is simply fooling. That's all it is. It's getting the flock, or the folk, together to think on the same narrative. And all as it's coming at the end of your 16 years of perpetual remembrance is how big is your yardstick going to be? It's the private individuals, it's the private families that can afford the education, that get the education. They go on to be managers and CEOs and all sorts of the big jobs that we see out there in the public domain. The public school children that you call them are getting indoctrination to sweep up. It's as simple as that.
Kept, the intelligence levels are kept on purposely low, controlling.
If you started a comprehensive school and for instance, from grade 1 to 10 and 10 being the best, if you score your first level at 5, then you will leave that institution also level 5. They will not allow you to raise above it. They keep you within that segment, within that box. That is part of the curriculum. That's what the teachers are there to do. That's what they are trained to do.
But we have a different methodology. We've collected indigos, light workers, rainbows, crystals, all these ADHD,
I advocate home education every time. Learn them to cook, learn them to sew, learn them to love thy neighbour, learn them to love themselves, learn them how to live, not to remember Pythagoras, not to remember languages that we're never going to use.
Credit to you for that, man, yeah.
I think you prefer Facebook, don't you? You two go live about.
Andy.
Yes.
Forget languages. I think that's wrong that we should forget languages.
Well, that comes to the top of my head. Some of the languages that they're teaching some of the children in schools these days is not required in my belief.
No, okay, you know? Well, it's fair enough, but you have to think
back in our day, it was French and German. Now they're going to Urdu and Hindi and things like this. You know, it's a very difficult thing to do for a young individual when they should be having free time and loving time.
Yeah, I know. But if you think about the people that are actually living that language, they need to preserve it, don't they?
Absolutely. But they can. We don't need to.
Languages.
Our children can remain children.
Let me speak. One way
Sorry.
Languages is to spread them out, you know. I mean, we learn Spanish, we learn French. Imagine if we all dropped all those languages, the world would be a boring place, man, seriously. And we would not be able to understand what anyone's saying.
No, I hear you. But they used to teach Latin and Hebrew as well, you know. All the proper languages have been debunked and defunct, and they're learning the stuff that you could learn later on with night courses within a couple of months if you was going to that area of the domain, the plateau. Children need to be children.
There is languages aside, yeah, you're both right there. Yeah, I agree. But languages, that just put a pin in that. What he's saying is that there is a more essential language that man can learn that they don't teach us on purpose, which would be the Latin or something, you know, equivalent of etymology and phonics, and a deeper part of the Anglo Babel system that, you know, that we don't get to be privy to. And there's a reason why we don't get those teachings of the command of the language, is so we are kept within those restraints. So I don't know, but I'm not trying to stick up for him or cover his back. I'm just saying that he did. I think that the main narrative is that there's a language there that we should, like when you turn 18, the night before you are 18, on your 17th, you know, a magical thing happens, because the next day you're now publicly liable for every action you do, and legally liable in the United Kingdom, Anglo-Mass, but you've not trained in any kind of legal area.
You don't even know your own language. You don't even understand their own words and spells that you are casting.
Yeah, and not only that, with the turning of 18, but you're going to use the banking infrastructure, and you're not trained on any of the fractal banking or being a settlor or a beneficiary. No, nothing, are you? At any point, do they say? So, no, you can carry on, Andy. I just wanted to say that there is a key part of education that we have missed out, and they fill it with crap, is what I think you may have been trying to say. But
yeah, I apologise for saying language. I absolutely, completely agree with the brother that it does need to be upheld, and every language does need to be kept in its rightful place. But however, I do advocate that children are required to be children, and at such a young, tender, beautiful age, they could be learning things that are a whole lot better, more use to them. rather than the indoctrinated system, the curriculum that they impose upon them.
Yeah, well, another reason why I think languages should be kept as well, and especially young kids absorb things like sponges. It's a lot easier for a child of 4 or 5 to learn 4 languages at the same time than it is for an adult to learn 4 languages at the same time. A lot easier.
Absolutely, they've got the time and dedication to it. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah, I went to a lecture years ago by an American author called Jeanette Voss, Gordon Dryden, I think, if I remember rightly. And they were talking about learning and how people learn. And, it's called The Learning Revolution, I think, a book that she released. And it was in there. It shows you in there that young children are able, I think, is it Lazarov, Pavlov, these, I'm getting all over the place, but they've done studies with people, with children, and found that children are much easier to teach in certain special ways, like, with songs and rhymes. And yeah, we know all this, it's spells, isn't it, basically? But they're learning the language. And I think if a child can learn 3 or 4 languages, you think about the etymology, you understand the language in one country, you can understand the language in another, and the etymology, that's where miracles happen, because once you understand different languages, you can put them together. You can see synchronicities. I can see synchronicities because I understand Scandinavian languages, Swedish, Danish, Norwegian. And you can see the etymology linked closely with English even, French.
Absolutely.
So I like it in that sense that it's especially for the kids anyway, that they can learn another language. When my daughter went to Turkey on holiday, she was amazed that she could speak to someone on the beach who was from Turkey because they both spoke English. She was like, wow, she was only younger at the time, 3 or 4 or something, but it was nice that, that they can talk in a common language.
Absolutely.
It's just why the common language is there, isn't it? To make one language, which is what they're talking about. They should keep the languages. Now we've got them.
That's a part of 2030. They want one rule, one world language, one world government, one world everything, don't they?
Yeah. Looks like it, doesn't it? But can I just say, you guys, you prefer going on Facebook Live, don't you? You do a lot live, and you constantly have hangouts and updates, don't you?
There's no preference for myself. It's all just as bad as each other. For me individually, I find it all a bit perplexing. It was David that brought me to the forefront. I'm ordinarily quite a private man, but such as my knowledge and how I present myself and that which I've done in my life is asked me kindly to come to the forefront and speak of it. So I gratefully accepted his offer and brought myself forward to his group, and I do speak with him in front of others, that which I've done and how I live my life and how I go about things, and it just seems to resonate with others because of its true, fair, properness and righteousness which I deliver.
I prefer if we had a platform of our own, if we could have one. But these are technologies we can use. You see, the Facebook. I saw an advert the other day about Facebook on the TV, and it said when this place does what it's designed to do, it's really a good place. And I thought, well, what was Facebook designed to do? Let's think. It was designed on a campus by some boys, and it's like the story goes, and it's like, hang on a minute, then. So it's not really a very honourable place, we don't have much honourable. Google's a military-based company now. 2 men in a garage, 2 men in a garage, and now look at it. I don't really think that's another bit we'll put a pin in, but we haven't got a system of independence of our own, but we should have, because we're clever. There's the guys on YouTube doing some amazing things, guys in the continents, land masses watching, doing their own incredible physical inventions and free 0-point energy magnet, resonance. There's loads going off, so we can invent and do pretty much, without these governors that we have appointed now governing us. Everybody says, oh, well, who will build the roads and what will we do if we decide that they need to be sacked? How will we govern? We'll do it ourselves. It's just I don't have a preference either. I'd like a private channel of chatting of our own domain, and then yeah, we have to go out to the public, because that's the way to do it, to go out to your, you know, the brethren, the family, and say, we're having a chat, do you fancy joining in? And yeah, it's not very easy though, to be fair. It's as you know, you get a lot of trouble with it as well. You try and do a good thing, and there's always guys there saying that you know, you've got other untoward reasons for doing it, but we've got genuine, you know, evidence to show and to back up, to say what we found.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Hey,
What we
you
found is
changed
looking
your
at.
whole life, really. Changed everything for this. You used to work, now you're not, you know, you're a trust. You've changed everything to continue doing this.
Oh, well, I've just used my legal instrumentation to apply to Hermes, Amazon, and somewhere else for some part-time servitude for me. So sweat equity, we'll have to go down for a bit. We are looking for, what would we call it, a benevolent benefactor financially to give the trust an injection, because we've promoted it and done seminars and set it up and laid down the groundwork and done the promotions and doing the chat. So it's now down to man, basically. We've done everything we can do, you know, and we're not looking to save humanity or get any kind of fame or fortune. We'd just like to do an honourable thing. Andy's got experience with his blood, property, children, and was working with what was it, Help for Heroes, not Help for Heroes, what was it, Andy?
Yes, I was a main
Come on.
advocator of Fathers for Justice in
There we go.
1997, and I fought from 1997 until 2001. And then when I took over, they allowed your title and ownership of the property and assets, which are proper to me, yes, my children, as you call them.
Yeah, it's there's an ultimate. There is a legacy that we'd like to leave, yeah, and there is a prophecy that we've been warned about this, and we've been told about this. And if we're that clever and that, you know, that happy, then carry on doing what you're doing. You don't have to listen to this video or our, you know, opinions on things, or the way that we have accomplished tasks lawfully above, you know, illegal parameters that are roadblocking you, and different ways of holding yourself. But the property is that the problem is our property is going to be bonded whether we like it or not, and this legal instrumentation is not ours. The law system that's running with the common law system is not ours, and we are, you know, tricked into it, like Andy said earlier, by the boatmen, the men of the boat. So this landmass has got boats attached to its coastline, and these boats are managed by a square mile in London, effectively, and then these square mile in London manages the de facto courts that call man to it for non-criminal offences. So if it's a civil offence, we see it as that there's a way of handling that. You can conditionally accept any charge or claim laid with you, and you can then argue it. You argue it and deny it, you'll be in trouble. You know, if you say no, there is a system out there that you can use, and there's a way to use it. And our children, property, blood, you know, vested, you know, interests, assets, they need to be protected. And our, you know, these guys and these men, they're good. All these viewers and the guys that we meet, the men that we meet, they're good guys. Nobody's evil, nobody's twisted. But what we see portrayed on the news is quite evil and twisted, to be fair. So we thought, well, we'll have a chat with everybody else and collect them together, and we'll see about, you know, giving them some education. We're not teachers. I'm not a teacher. We're kind of guardians, if you like, shepherds, and we'd just like to have a chat. We're not allowed to give you advice, and we're not allowed to do certain things, but lawfully, under the Creator, honourably, with clean hands and, you know, due diligence and stuff, we can have a little chat and tell you, you know, perhaps you need to consider X, Y, and Z, basically, because we don't like seeing what's happening out there, and we'd like to try and help you, you know, guys, the men, do something about it.
Yeah, I've understood the formula about it.
Yes.
You're like solicitors, though, in a sense, aren't you? I don't think, maybe they aren't the right words in that earth and what you're talking about and the spelling, but equivalent is, you know, if you understand what I mean. Like you had to learn all the law and then formula it into the truth. You're like solicitors in a sense, aren't you? Sort of.
Karen, you're breaking up quite a bit there. I don't know if is anyone else hearing that?
Yeah.
It's been all night, hasn't it? It's been
Yeah,
a
she
trouble
has.
to me all night.
Can you hear me better now?
She does.
Well, we could hear you. We could always hear you. It's just that you're kind of in and out and one of those, you know. You can't hear what you're saying really, not a full sentence. It's just in and out.
Should I go on my phone? Oh, dearie me. It's terrible,
Yeah,
isn't
do
it?
it. Yeah, go on the phone. That's always all right, that, when you do that.
Hang on. Keep talking.
Keep talking. Somebody. Andy.
So what, mate? Sorry.
What are we going to chat about? Anything else you wanted to add? Law of man. That's how we distinguish, don't we? We have laws for man, and we have codes for persons.
Absolutely. There's like oil and water. Your person is your oil, and man is your water. Clean heart, clean hands. And you're not to mix the jurisdictions, not to mix your oil with your water. Otherwise, you blow your head gasket, much like your car.
Is that better? Is that better?
Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, clear, crystal.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now.
You're gonna have to mute one of your devices, Karen, I think, or turn one down or something.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, mute her. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. That's the joys of coming on twice. So anyway, I'm muted on the other one now. Anyway, yeah, it's you can hear me now. It's very annoying, isn't it? I'm on my phone in my house. So yeah, it's the computer hates Hangouts. But anyway, I don't want to interrupt. It's a great chat, and I really appreciate you because we obviously don't know what we're living in, and we need to realise it differently. Do you think that's changing?
Realise the real lies with real eyes.
Do you think that it's making it harder though? The more people that wake up and even say this, you don't say your full name and all this, it's just making them more agitated with us. Just asking.
Well, what is your full name? I have a calling.
An ID. Andy. Yeah, they're asking for an ID. You know, it's how you handle your affairs.
Contracting. That's right. It's joinder, and you give away your power and your authority through acquiescence. You don't even realise that you're doing it. So they may see it as being awkward, but we see it as being just right and proper. I have a calling. My nan calls me Andy, and she calls me in for my dinner at 5 o'clock, Andy, and I come calling. If you wish to name me or give me a title like Mr. or anything like that, that's not a problem. But I require just and fair compensation for taking on that role, for enacting that.
No, it's not that. How can I be a name? You know, how can I be a name? You know, all right then. If you're asked a question, you need to identify. There's an identity that needs to be confirmed. So, you can confirm the identity and take the risk, and don't listen to us. Off you go. Very good. And you know that's your choice. Or you can choose to manage the acceptance of that name quite articulately, and you know, decide to say that my full name is David, and I am of the family Jeremita. Well, where is Mr. David Jeremita? You know, and you handle it like that. You know, when Mr. David Jeremita's here in the court, I'm here. I am not the defendant. I'm here to help you administrate. You know, and they don't like it. No, because you know the game. So if you go there to fight them, you will not bring down the system by that one court appearance. Okay, so don't go trying to do that, because many do. You will go there and you will fight. You will go on a court and you'll play a game. It's not justice, because there is no victim. Only when man has caused harm, injury and loss to a fellow other man, everybody, is there a crime. Okay, when they come in and purport that the state is a victim for a non-payment of a local government tax, or this is not a crime. This is an offence. Yeah, so an offence. I've offended somebody, have I? Okay, well, let's parlay. You know, and they call you down to the place of business to parlay. And if you are silly enough to take that name, take the father's name in vain, you know, and so forth and so on, there are clues out there, you know, children, and we've cottoned onto it. And we're like, oh, hang on a minute, and date of birth. Well, my date of birth's hearsay, judge. You know, I don't have a date of birth. My person has a date of birth of which you're asking for. He's at the, you know, and you play the game. Be polite, be courteous, and they'll be like, oh, okay, a smart arse, have we? Fucking hell, it's been 6 months since we had one of these free men of the land in. Preposterous, you know, and they'll play the game with you. You don't have to go in all vexatious and, you know, angry and, you know, this, that, the other, and demanding. You just calm it and, you know, let them know. And it's like a game of poker is what we're going to transform it into. It's like a skilled game of poker. And there is no victim. So that's what you would ultimately manage. And you are due a common law court, you know, of a grand jury, you know, peers and judgment. No man has the right to judge another man. These are administrative, fraudulent, de facto courts, to be fair. And we've called them out, run by grand masters that are there to collect revenue for the crown. So
Man
don't
shall
worry
not
about
license another man for fine or forfeiture. Simple as that.
Yeah, this is not law. This is bureaucracy
The force
gone
of
mad.
law.
It's just a
religion.
money-making thing, isn't it? It's just
It's
There
a
a
you
battle
go.
of religions. Listen, it's when we was growing up, we've seen the war in Northern Ireland, and we've seen the Catholics fighting the Protestants.
Yes.
And the Protestants that we were called Protestants, that they are Anglican, Christian, and it's always the Catholics fighting the Christians. And here today, in the force of law through the government, we still have the Catholics fighting and imposing their empire. And the way to dispel and repel them is read the Christian Bible, the King James Version, and you will have your remedy from that. It will distinguish the man from the person, from the commerce, and it will give you equitable remedy.
Silence.
Yeah, thanks for that. You like the King James Bible then?
I don't. It's not my religion. I have faith. I have a soul, and I have a spirit. But what I do know, the truth of the fact of the matter is that the Roman Empire ruling can be dispelled and repelled by that of the Anglican Christian book, if you understand the biblical text and if you have the correct perception of the verbiage within it, then you can quote upon it when you put your hand upon it to say that that is your belief.
So you need to ask, does anybody have any information on the King James Bible, who the author was, why King James had it commissioned? Start researching the King James Bible, looking into it, and then what Andy's angling on about will come clear. It's a all right common law court. So we had a decent, honourable court system, and we had the King's Court, the court of the King's conscience, equity, and so forth. And over,
that's right.
yes, yeah, Privy High Court's Chancery, and it got a bit busy. So over the years, they've seen a potential for some kind of invisible, you know, attack, war, and they've used this court system of goodness, and they've built up a wrong one, a de facto lower one, and it's a pure administration. So there are ways of governing yourself using your person and the titles and things.
It says in there that
their
clearly
system.
that God is not a respecter of persons, and God to me is grantor of dominion. At the end of the day, we was created somewhere. Whatever your belief of that is what it is. However, we have a creator, and the grantor of that dominion is within us. We are in the mirror image of, we are in the reflection. And when the plateau, the dominion was created, we was granted the dominion of it, and all that is on it is ours, and no one is above us, only the creator. And if anyone claims to be above you on the dominion, then you require it in writing, and you can bring it to the King's or Queen's bench for the correct adjudication within the jurisprudence of the landmass England.
Yeah, there's Bibles. What do you swear on in a court? A Bible. You take an oath on the Bible. These are court systems that are governed by what? They're boats. We view them as foreign vessels docked onto Admiralty, Maritime, Canon, Ecclesiastical, UCC. So the foreign vessels docked onto the landmass. Anglo, United Kingdom. That's a trust. So they're onto Anglo land. Yeah, and this is what it's. It's kind of like
the pirates are in Somalia. No such thing.
They're at home, yeah. They're homegrown, and it's like a church in there, isn't it? Look at the court. Think of a church, and it has clerks, and it has ushers, and it has pews and aisles. Look at it. You think about it. You see, you're not in the search on DuckDuckGo. Google's a good one because it will get you more. The Miami Court Federal building, and you'll find a boat-shaped courthouse. When I say a boat shape, I mean an exact replica of a massive boat. Miami Federal courthouse building. Yeah, you'll search that and see. So it's all true. They have the flags there. They fly the flags, and it's just you guys need to know. Man needs to know, one, who he is, because as for Grenfell and these atrocities that we've had across, you know, the United Kingdom and Anglo blood being spilled, man's blood's been spilled
treated
here,
as
and
cargo, treated as chattel. You are marked and treated as chattel upon the stock exchange.
David Davis, Boris Johnson, you know, the United Kingdom's government and their public school boys are having quite some time here running Brexit, you know, and destroying the economy. Jaguar and mainstream, you know, engineering companies are exiting the United Kingdom's infrastructure as we speak. We're having a massive
bailout. There is no such
bailout,
thing as Brexit.
You know,
we will never leave. The EU ruling is going to wipe out the common law jurisdiction of England. That's why we are revoking the trust and equity as we speak, before time runs out for those that are left behind.
Common law, you know, money itself is going digital, and we've got all this, you know, crypto coming out. So man is well far behind on many things, let alone, you know, how to try and protest and hold these politicians to account, because that doesn't work. What you need to do is understand, or try and understand, where we can give you a little acceleration into the system, the infrastructure, the trustees, the governance, the ministerial, the non-ministerial and civil, lawful, the difference, public and private, and you can see,
more importantly,
you know,
the covenants.
Yeah, it is a learning curve, but it's your choice. You get out of it what you put in, isn't it? Andy says about your application, you think there's something more important on the TV than to research, you know, the law, and if you've got property, offspring, or you're in a relationship and you're not married, then well done. I'd consider keeping it that way and thinking about using your thumbprints and a signature over that, and on some certain notices, power of attorney and last will and testament, and making some up now while you're in a common law relationship and claiming each other's estates and protection, you know, sense. And, you know, we think we need a certificate and a license to conform, but we don't. Our system doesn't have that, and that's what we need to teach, basically, isn't it, Andy? That man has a system of honour and equitable common law, which we use and abide, and then the legal system has another system which we can choose how we, you know, use that. We're going to change that.
There's the legal and lawful, yeah. There's the legal and the common law that run side by side, but running alongside of the common law is the equitable channel. That's always underlying, and if you can't get a right from a wrong in the common law realm, then you can evoke the equitable maxims if you comprehend what they are, because he without rights don't have any.
Yeah, and we've got there's a maxim, isn't there? If the ruling of law and equity collide, equity will prevail. The Oil of Oxford, you know, maxim. Yeah. So you can argue that if you know about it, but they've kept it from you because it's the king's court. It turns you into the king. You are as king the questions, you know, asking is another trick word there, because you are, look at the word asking. I'm going to ask, you know, you to look at the word asking, ask as space dash king. You are as king in the court when you take this, you know, way, and they are our courts, and if you don't construct nicely without damaging the judge, then he will go on autopilot and go in recovery mode for the crown. Your job is to play ball and not damage anybody and do it nicely. You know, you don't have to. You should be dealing with it in the private and not going to court. We don't advocate this, but times man gets to have to go to court, don't they? So they ignore, for instance, or they disclaim, and so we have to go to the judiciary to show him that we know what's what and prove it. You know, substance over form, we call this, don't we, Andy? Then so it's it's not something you do lightly because you think there's a pot of gold at the end of it, or because you're not gonna. If you've been naughty, we'll put it politely, I know that's a child's way of putting it, but if you've been dishonourable and you're trying to hide something, it will come out in the wash and it will all blow up in your face. So you can't trick anybody with this technology either. It's got rules to it which ensure equality, you know.
He who seeks equity must do equity. It's that simple. You must have clean hands. You must be in honour.
And these guys are the grand masters. They're called masters chambers because they are masters, you know, not so much magicians as sorts, but they appear to be. And for man to get any, yeah, that's it. You know, they wear cloaks. They're like Sith overlords. They're like the Empire from Star Wars. You know,
they got the wig on. They got the lamb's wool on the head, and they're literally wolves in sheep's clothing.
We are like a set sail the SS Sovereign with a load of Jedi Indigo Crystal Lightworker masters of wordplay and babble, and we're just trying to, let everybody know there's a new way to do things which has been kept from you, and we're not trying to get any global fame or popularity, but I'm going back to servitude. Andy drives a wagon and it's got skips on the back of it, and we're two of the most intuitive minds in law in the United Kingdom. The guys that are comparable to our level of understanding now are on the Queen's Council, barrister level. We're not saying we would take them on, but it's the information we've got, we will share, and it's available for all. And those that are out there trying to form private trusts and sell them for £1,000, £2,000, £5,000, £7,000, we could do that. But we've chosen not to, everybody. We've chosen to just give you the information and support the .com and do it all through these free chats in our own time. So those that are out there saying, oh, all Dave and Andy want is for X, Y, and Z, and they're thinking of themselves. We think of you guys. I do it. I'll let Andy speak for himself, but he's not, raking anything in from this.
I drive a skip lorry 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm a full-time lorry driver, exactly. This is my spare time, my free time, which I'd give freely.
If we could find
pain and harm, I lost to learn what I know whilst I had my licence took off me. And I feel it's my vocation now to give back that which I've learned, because there are many men and women suffering at the hands of the invisible hand, shall we say. And now I've got the answers. I wish to give them freely and as widely as possible.
Yeah, a little disclaimer because if we can find a benefactor, that's what we'll set this up and we'll go forward with it and invest it and show everybody, put our money where our mouth is. We have done that already in the form of YouTube videos and evidence and testimonial claims from the guys in our private trust on Facebook. So we have got the evidence and we can back it up. We just need now man to actually work out whether he wants to do something or not. And we're going to carry on as usual. And put our, things in motion that we need to do privately. And you guys can have a think, but this is all down to you now. We've laid down the groundwork, and we need to know if everybody's ready to consider, your next options. I don't think you should be waiting very long, though. But it's not to scare you. It's just we've done as much as we can, and we're at the end of the road. He's driving a skip wagon, and I'm going to go and do delivery. So. This realm is so backwards and upside down. It's very confusing. I yield.
Yeah, because you're talking about such a big change, aren't you? I mean, they've got us as stressed meat paying taxes, and in a system, and it's a big system, isn't it? And you're up against a big system. But I admire what you two do. I really do. And
I'm self-employed, incidentally.
Someone put manslaughter, man's laughter. See, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the
if you put an S, manslaughter, it's where the S is positioned, isn't it? One's slaughtering one.
And that's what's happening here. They're leading the folk. They are leading the flock to slaughter. That's exactly what's happening here. A part of the depopulation.
Can I?
Words and swords, Astral. You get swords out of words. You put S between. Your words are like swords. That's why we strike things out using the notices. And
I'm aware of that. I wanted to ask you. In China now we have this facial recognition thing cracking on. It's going to be. I've been reading stuff now recently about you're not going to be able to get on a plane unless you've been vaccinated, right? I'm also reading stuff about Trump's going to start doing some stuff about you won't need to be vaccinated, where you can claim back your own person again,
sovereignty or whatever. Yeah. So
if you do not wish to be vaccinated, then you should have the right that you should not be able to be you should have
got the right. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Man shall not trespass against you. They cannot impose themselves against you in that manner.
But what I was getting onto the subject of you talking about cryptocurrency and things. What happens in a few years' time, because this is the way it's going to go, I'm pretty sure, Agenda 21 or Agenda 2050 or whatever it is you want to call it, we're all leading towards that, where we will be
digital currency,
like a credit rating. Yeah,
they'll switch on and off when they want to.
tomorrow you can travel. You know, you can't do this today, or you know, we will have restrictions, and I'm pretty sure that hey, you've not been a good boy last month or whatever, so you're not going to get your whatever it is they're going to give us. You know, but I think control. At the end of the day, that's where it's leading to, that we're going to get less and less control for ourselves, less freedom, and we're going to be more, well, we're a practical slave chained to a flipping ball as it is, aren't we?
Until you claim back your rights, in which case you will have diplomatic immunity.
It's a very deep subject, though, isn't it? And it's very serious. It is very serious.
Well, it's life, isn't it? You only get one shot at life.
Law, religion, science, that's deep. Yeah, it is. When you think you're just going into law and you end up going into religion through law, and then you're going into science and you're like, hang on a minute, this is a joke now. How did cymatics come up, you know? And that's very rustly, that. Yeah, how do you know?
Back at a snowball. Sorry about that. We're having the midnight feast. Pre-midnight.
The funny thing is, we're discovering all these things because of, you know, or because of some conspiracy or whatever, or because of 9/11, because of the moon landings that didn't happen. You know, all these things that we question. We're not just content with getting up in the morning, going to work, coming home, eating your tea, going to bed, getting up in the morning, going to work, coming home. We're not content with that. We need to learn things. We like to know. We're on here. I don't know how many thousands of hours we've contributed to these
yeah, you have
websites and, you know, books, readings, you know, chatting with people, listening to people. I mean, we're here to get knowledge. We're here not just to be complacent in our lives. That's not a life.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Isn't it? Because I want to learn. I want to, you know, I want to realize more. I would like to know more, much more. I can't just sit back on my laurels and say, that's it. This is my life. I've got kids. I've been there, done that. You know, yeah, goodbye. You know, no. I want to know. I really want to know. And I think that's the thing with most of us, that we are so inquisitive, and we will not take that for an answer. You know, we would like to find things out for ourselves. And I yield the floor.
Application, how you apply yourself, due diligence. It's exactly that. Question everything.
We accept. When guys say, a man says to us, whoever, whatever, comes up and says, and lays claim, and maybe says, "Do you know? Have you heard?" And we'll say no. We'll say yes or no. If we say no, that's news to us. You know, our family or all of us, whatever, me. Then we will say we'll accept it. We're not saying we're giving it credence and believing it, and we'll go away and have a little dig and a research and let them know in a day or a week or whatever it takes. So that's the beauty about these circles and these networks, that we do often cross over borders of deception and deceiving, and you know, it's interesting that yeah, these questions that we have, we often find quite relevant. They give us an example, an excuse, or a reason of what's happened. This is where the plane went. This is what happened here. This is what's on the video, and we clearly go, that's not right. And we find out answers that are more intelligent and more feasible than what the government give us, and that's really an alarm bell there, isn't it?
Exactly. Here's what I'm not gonna talk about this. I'm not gonna get into it, but we all know, right? Anything that happens, they've got cameras. Why do we not see those camera footages, you know, from incidents that have taken place? Why won't they let them see us? Why won't they let them let us see them? Sorry.
So yeah, when there was an attack on Anglo soil, United Kingdom, parliamentary type thing, or when that guy anybody gets attacked, and yeah, it's dodgy, it's political. There never seems to be, the cameras are never on, or there's always a terrorist passport left behind, and nothing else is left. Everything is obliterated, but there's a few passports left around for people to pick up. What?
And can I ask all of everybody who's listening to this right now, how many people have ever found a passport? I bet there's a few. There must be a few, but I mean, this is like at an airport probably, or on holiday, or I guarantee that there's not many people that have been walking down the street and found a passport.
No.
Can I just say something? Jim has put in the chat room: chained to a ball, chained to a job, chained to everything you've created. Choices are our own. There is no time for blame anymore.
I want to say something about cameras. They're always putting the cameras out on the street, pointing them at the people. I think we should turn those cameras around and point them at those son of bitches.
We are. That's what we're doing, holding them to accounts now. We are turning the rules around on them, not necessarily the cameras, but we are learning to hold them to account. Listen to that word. What did I say? Account. That's a financial term, isn't it? You know, how's your accounts doing? You know, are you keeping everything up to an account? I need to give you an account of my accounts. You know, we're going to hold them.
Removing the consent. We're removing what's sent after the con.
If you do reside on this Anglo landmass, welcome to the world of you are guilty unless you can prove yourself innocent. By that, I mean that's a thing called presumed. You know, they presume now that this is we'd say a Roman civil law system that's at hand. It isn't an Anglo-Saxon, you know, any kind of Nordic, Spanish, French. It is a Roman civil law system that seems to have the assumption and presumption that you and I are in fact property and chattel and are the mister and by default the debtor, when in fact we motherfuckers are the creditor and the debtor. They don't tell you that part. Also you're the creditor. Yes, you're the principal, the origin of, and you are the, you know, the surety, the responsible for, legally liable to clear up the accounts of. So okay, so I'm the principal, I generate it, and I'm the manageable for its accounts and tying it up, no problem. No, they don't tell you that. So, you know, it's quite a sick, twisted little game we've got here. But man's starving, man's dying on the street, man's not getting access to things. You know, we've got austerity, the cheek of it, austerity, the national debt. Oh, the asset stripping of the NHS. The failure of anybody being held to account. You crash the economy, guys. Go on and crash it, no problem. Yes, no, we'll reward you handsomely. You know, they all got rich from it. We bailed them out, the taxpayer. Hello, Iceland, they didn't. They held them to account. They didn't do everything correctly, but they did a better job than us. You know, Anglo-Saxon intelligent fellows. So we need to get a grip of everything quickly. You know, it's vast, you know, become a joke that's, you know, where we're at. And we're just like, you guys, if you've got anything to say, to tell us if you agree or not, or if you think that everything's rosy. But these cameras not working, we see, you know, we see that they make massive blunders. It's almost like they're giving you clues, isn't it? When they say, oh, sorry, yes, we don't have that. We've lost the footage of going to Mars, everyone. Sorry. What do you mean you've lost the footage of going to Mars? Are you having a fucking giraffe? What? Yeah, sorry, go on. I yield.
Indy, the worst thing about it is the majority of people accept the answer that they're given. The cameras are broken today, and they accept it. You know, and that's chronic, totally.
What do you mean you lost the footage to the moon? What are you talking about?
Have you not heard? Yeah, go search. They've lost the footage, all the records, all the data, everything's gone. They've deleted it by accident. Sorry, it's gone in the bin. Shut up. You mean we can't look at anything? No, there's nothing. Not a scratch. It's gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I have to say this, right? Whatever might have been turned off, or, you know, these cameras, there's got to be cameras that have, you know, picked up things and possibly at some point in time, if you have a commission and go over things again, maybe there'll be a public outcry and say, you know what, we never did get to the bottom of that. We never did get to the bottom of 9/11. What really went on? You know?
Well, for 8 years, I was a diamond driller, and I've got many certificates and many qualifications for cutting, sawing, drilling concrete, all its Newton strengths, all the size rebars, everything to do with concrete. And I can verify today that no structure of aluminium with so said fuel on board, although they run on high pressured air, it can burn hot enough to melt the steel, nor cause enough impact to drop them buildings from the base and dustify them in the manner that they was dustified. And I use the word dustified because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, but we know, like, you know, you can even go online and look. The BBC reported a building falling while it was still stood in the background.
Yeah, the hotel, exactly.
So we know.
Yeah, and don't forget, the guys that own them had never had insurance for planes hitting them ever. And 2 weeks prior to the incident, they went, hey, do you think we should? And they got insurance for planes hitting the buildings. Yes, and then 2 weeks later, planes hit the fucking building.
Yes, what? Because they'd had the Goldman Sachs had the bill to remove the asbestos within the buildings, and the the removal of asbestos was a few $1 billion, so they decided to do something else about it.
I don't know whether you heard, and I'm really bad at remembering names, but there was a guy in the UK that on purposely didn't pay his television license and got taken to court because he wanted to go to court to show that, to get a judge to agree that he had loads of people there, but of course it was about his TV license really, and he wanted to take it onto 9/11, what happened there. But basically he got the judge to agree that as the buildings falling was supposed to be an act of terrorism, how could the BBC be reporting it 35-40 minutes before it actually happened? So basically we should all go to the police and say there's something wrong with 9/11, all of us.
Yeah, but they are sworn an oath to the crown. What can they do? Their hands are tied.
Yeah.
We can't. What we have to do is, we have to hold them to account in an international court. So where the hands of the crown are here, we have like The Hague is the international court where you can be tried for war crimes, and we have international courts of human rights and appeal. So if there is some kind of skullduggery, I had on a Facebook chat the other day. A guy from America joined me. It was amazing, Andy. I think I told you actually. He recited the American Declaration of Independence from his heart and said, when I couldn't do that, he's quite a body of words there. He said that in there, when peoples find the tyranny amongst the rule and the societies, and they have an obligation and a duty and a code of ethics to follow to get it out of there and to a foreign force and so forth. So we will find this in man, that man will think, hang on a minute, the BBC, that's not right. They did say but World Trade Center number 7 had fallen before it had fallen. And then he went, oh, sorry, yes, cock up there. Sorry, that's not for 10 more minutes. Sorry, fuck, John.
Bush said to blow it up, and then interview Bush said when we blew it up, when we detonated it. It's all there. Drop it. He said drop it. And that's exactly what happened.
Sure. And then, you've had all this independent advice and that about it. And don't forget, there was an engine found on a New York street that everyone's took photos of that belonged to neither of them two planes. And they're like, what? This engine isn't from the 747 or the such and such. And, the photographs, when you look at the imagery, the videos, and the nose of the plane comes out the other side of the building intact. Yeah, and you're like, hang on, it's clearly on that. How has anyone seen that?
Don't you think there's something really, really odd?
Go on, sorry.
Have you seen a Boeing after a bird strike? It takes the nose completely off, Come on, be real. With the 7 Newton concrete, you got no chance.
Don't you think there's something really strange if there are fires happening and cars have kind of melted, but there's paper around? Something else was going on there that day.
Thermite, the thermite inclusion.
That's what dusted the concrete.
But that didn't, if you listened, a lot of people have said things about Dr. Judy Wood, but she was kind of explaining even though people saw fires, didn't mean that those fires were hot. And also she was explaining that a lot of the firemen said that their shoes were melting, but none of them went to the doctor with burns, like hot, scalding burns. So this thing was reacting for days afterwards. Whatever they did, it was reacting afterwards. And that was what was melting the shoes.
Plus, a lot of firefighters and emergency response teams and what have you, they've gone down with bad illnesses.
Well, that'll be the fallout within the dust.
Yeah, that'll be the
asbestosis. That's the asbestos within there, exactly that.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure there are other diseases and things that they've contaminated or contracted. That they're looking into or have looked into. What is it? 17 years tomorrow, isn't it? Anniversary.
And don't forget the London. You've made me remember, sorry to interrupt, but I'll forget. You know what I'm like, apologies, but London bombings, the trains, the underground. And it just so happened that on 9/11 there was a effing test going off, and they couldn't tell what was real and what was fake. We had a test going off, John. We tried to find the plane, but there was so much activity. We had a scenario running at the same time, and in London, what happened? A scenario was running at the same time of that exact same thing, and you just think, hang on a minute, do you think we're that gullible? Do you really? That to me was crucial evidence.
Indy, it's not just those two. You can look at other events, I'll call them. I don't want to get too much into it, but we have discussed these many times. Other events as well. It's the same shit, man. It's the same shit.
The world is a stage.
Exactly. You got it. And if people are in doubt of anything, all they got to do is a bit of research, 1 or 2 hours, and you find out all about this, all of it.
The whole world is a stage. It's what
Yeah,
role you take and
it's
how
a
you
soap
enact it.
opera. The whole
It's
thing's a
exactly
soap
that.
opera.
It's how you enact and what role you take, what position you have.
But we're not evil men. We're not evil souls. We've done no wrong. We're not criminals. So now we've found out this is the time of, that's what I mean, the end of the road. We can't keep repeating this. It gets tiresome. So there's all the videos and the archives and everything there, but it's now a time of, what do you want to do? Do you want to wait till the brown stuff hits the fan and then act, or do you want to be proactive and think about securing things and facing up to the fact we're in a military style system where the government at hand purports to be the government, but it appears to an educated mind, which would be myself, Andy, and you guys, that the government is actually a separate corporation running to fund itself and its friends. And it stands there going, yes, we care about the people. Oh, yes, we love the people. But the people are our certificates and our titles. The men have been vastly misguided, and the men have spilt a lot of blood. Our blood that's been
Who are
spilled.
they? Reds and blues, aren't they? The government.
Yeah, Rastafari. Sorry.
They're the wings of the same bird. That's all they are. They're getting the strings pulled by the same governance at the end of the day. Our government is currently licensed to print its own money today, but it doesn't. It borrows it from the bank with interest rates.
The Federal Reserve.
Whilst they purport to have voting systems and everything, that's why they threaten to fine you if you don't register your vote. If you're not on the electoral register, no, what? Well, let's fine you 1,000 of our shillings, shall we? And because little does the general public know, the word there being general, little do they know when you cast your vote, it's there and then when you register it. When you go to the polling station thereafter to cast it for a red or a blue, it means nothing. You've already done it when you registered it. Your vote was right there. You're already on the register. So it's all just a mockery. Democracy is a mockery. We live in a dictatorship, not a democracy.
Yeah, I agree.
We got the illusion of freedom and free choice, but you're free to be a consumer, and you're free
to do exactly
choose
what you want. You're free to do what we tell you, or you'll suffer a fine and a forfeiture. But other than that, you're free to do exactly what we tell you.
You haven't got your rights. You've got what does he say, George Carlin? You've got benefits and you've got services and privileges, and these rights you've got are being denied because you're not in the right capacity you're not in the right state of mind. The state has got us in a state, and it's a nanny state, and sometimes we just need to give you a little push in the right direction to make you see, there's codes there.
Here?
There's
the
clues.
State has assumed a husbandry role over everyone's family. The state is the husband here, and that's why there is a midwife when these children are born. They're a middle wife agent working for the government and taking your property and your assets from you in that way. That's what's happening here, and that's why fathers, as I learnt in 1997, Fathers for Justice, they are not getting the legal nor lawful remedies because of the husbandry role evoked by the state when your property is registered with them. They have the vested interest.
It's deceptive. It's demonic. It's almost satanic in a way. It's not nice to use blood and souls as collateral for national debt and trade them through bloody bonded certificates of birth.
That has no substance. It's a perpetual debt system that never ends.
We are the creators. There is no gold and silver. This is where we reference this to, and the whole companies are bankrupt. So if everybody's bankrupt and we're paying, insolvency, and we're paying with promissory notes, when the ideal thing to do every time is to completely go bankrupt. You have a business, a corporation, and it's the name. The name is the corporation, the business, the trust, the fiction, the straw man.
If anybody goes and asks for a loan, and if you ask for a public loan and they'll ask you what it's for, you'll say, to settle a debt. That they will normally say no, but you have to go to a special debt consolidation loan firm. But however, when you're paying your rates and your utility bills and everything else, they expect you to use the same debt notes to discharge a debt, which cannot be done. So the whole thing is fraudulent.
Yeah, it's like like somebody said about the tomatoes, you borrow 50 tomatoes from me, but I want 75 tomatoes back. But I'm the only one that grows tomatoes, and no one else is allowed to grow
So you have to
tomatoes.
borrow another 50 off me, mate, to give me them back, and then I want 25 off them as well, and I just keep borrowing. That's how it goes. In never ends. You never get out of debt.
The
You can't
international
discharge or settle a debt with another debt. You're just promising to. This is what it's all about. The promising to pay. There's no consideration from the bank's part. We credit the bank. It's their job to pay us what they owe us. It's just a shop. It's there to pay us what they owe us. Administrating. Your wages get paid there. They're to give you what they owe you. We think we're getting loans from them and things. There's no such thing.
That's fucked up. I'm sorry. Damn,
It is.
those guys
Yeah.
are tricky, man. They're so tricky. Very
It's
clever, man.
thousands.
They're pretty fucking clever.
They don't give valuable consideration. They credit your bond account, and you authorize that through your signature, and then you will sign a separate document, an agreement with tacit agreement, and they will suffer you a tort whereby you have to pay it back with the interest. There's the fraud right there.
This is AKA TDA accounts as well. This is the same as the Treasury Direct accounts as America and everybody was saying, and Harvey Dent and all the other Pond stateside family. This is your Treasury Direct like access portals as well. The same technology there and instruments. Go on, Flat Earth dude.
Flat Earth dude? He's muted now.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
What are you saying?
I'm here, Karen. I'm back. I'm getting my
it made you a little bit angry then, didn't it? Oh, what they've done to us. Oh.
Well, I've known this for a lot of years, decades, and you know it's such a trap. And if you don't know the rules, guess what? You're gonna get snared in the trap.
They have big words: quantitative easing, reserve fractional banking. I'm glad you understand.
Is that
what's inflation? Inflation itself, it's a silent tax.
It's like light years. Quantitative easing. It's kind of the same. Like it's a ridiculous thing, right?
More perpetual debt printed out of thin air.
So I got something to say about. Sorry, Andy. When you finish, go on, brother.
Yeah. So I was just going to say about thin air, just given by the author, me and you.
Someone's gone.
Astral thief.
Astral. He'll be back. Carry on.
So no matter what we get, we choose the wings of the bird. Then the left, the right, the red, the blue, the democracy, the different things that we have of governance, where we have capitalism, we have fascism, we have dictatorship. It doesn't matter which one that we choose or which one that we try. We've got the law governing above that's enslaving you. We've got the religion above that, which is enslaving you, and we've got the money system, which is which is a debt system, which is called monetary mechanics in a way. Is the title of value: intrinsic, non-intrinsic, intellectual property, common law property rights, and there's all these governances above. So where your guys, like we said to the Dragons on that radio chat, are concentrating on Tommy Robinson and this guy here and this office here, and you're 5 layers below where you need to be. And this occupation and this violence and this distraction of time and energy is no good. It's futile, going out and protesting and doing this and saying you're going to kill somebody, and what happens? It's embarrassing. It's almost like children. It's like boxing. Man doesn't just beat man up. We're intelligent.
See, there, I picked out the occupation. Do you have an occupation or do you have a profession?
Yeah, skills. And
are you an occupier? You must have an occupation if you're an occupier. And that's what brings it back to the voting system. When you're registered to vote, you are also registering to be a ward of the state. It's right there in the writing. And that's why they reiterate that everybody does it. And they impose themselves for fines and forfeitures that you do it. Because then it doesn't matter what you do or say after that point, because you've already given your authorization to be a ward of the state. You haven't come to the age of maturity. You are seen as a delinquent, a juvenile. You can't see or speak. You can't be seen. You can't write. You can't anything. until
You're
you saturate
retarded.
the capacity. Exactly that. You've been retarded. You've come from
Exactly.
normal speed of life and being retarded in your own self without even knowing through your own acquiescence.
Well, yeah,
Karen,
deception.
put a butt in. Karen, James Mason wants to come on. I don't know if you saw that.
Sorry?
James
Yeah.
Mason.
Yeah, I saw that. Do you mind if James comes on? James has a lot to say. He's the person that's into anxiety isn't virtue. You know, that's the person I was telling you about earlier on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool then. Hang on then.
Well, anxiety is your imagination. You're imagining the future, and you'll suffer an anxiety from that. If you're depressed, you're suffering from your memory, and you're in the past. And when you suffer an anxiety, or if you suffer a depression, you're only ruining the now. You're never living your life in the now, and you'll never have fulfillment or inner peace and bliss while you suffer either the future or the past. You can't control any of them, so you might as well just enjoy the now.
this system though has
well said.
This system has an it was well said. Is beautiful sometimes with what it's how eloquent it comes out. It's quite endearing. It really is. This system has like an AI system. We're in a fourth industrial revolution that's perpetuating not only the anxiety but also suicide and death and over drinking and smoking of marijuana and ignorance of life. And this system is like issuing letters and notices which haven't even been drafted by man, that man's responding to and being threatened by, and they come through the letterbox, and they come first thing in the morning.
And anxiety is your own imagination.
It's the system.
Don't imagine the things because it's negative. Your
may have
imagination is
broken
in
the
your
law.
mind.
Yeah, I was going to say these letters that come first thing in the morning, Andy, that not just Anglo men read, but all across the continents. I've seen these letters arrive, bills, threats, litigation, liability, tax, business, people that are honourable. Oh, have you got this? The laws have changed. If you're not doing this, the inspector will be around and such. And if you haven't got a license for your such and such TV now, then, if you're using a laptop, you may be breaking the law. What do you mean? And these guys, they may have debt, and there might be a man that can't really talk about their emotions, and they're quite butch and old-fashioned, we'll say, and they might keep it in and they bottle it up. And it's just we have a way that we need to adapt and change, I'd say, through not just our lawful ways but our social ways. I keep common unity.
Our inner self. And that's why I advocate what I've just said, that we're not to suffer our own imagination, and we're not to suffer bad memories, because we're only suffering in the now. And when you look in the dictionary, to suffer is to allow. If a judge ever asks you if you've suffered and you say yes, it will strike you out there and then, because you've allowed it. You've done nothing to change it. So we can either victimize ourselves in the now from a future that we can't change. You can't have no control on it. And the memories of the past, which are his story, has already made. So you're never going to get inner bliss and fulfillment in your life. You can meditate as long as you like, looking for love, looking for inner bliss and all the contentment that you require. If you're looking elsewhere for it, you're never going to have it, because it's all within. Everything is within. God is within. We are godly. Godly is goodly, and that's whom and what we are, with clean hands in honour. And that's what we advocate and bring forward. Peace and one to all.
Hey, Andy. Mwah.
Bless you.
I want to say that I heard that when you get up in the morning, by the time you brush your teeth, you broke 5 laws. So.
Can I just say that James has joined us? Hi, James.
Hello.
Hi, brother.
Hey, James.
Hey.
Glad to see you, man.
Hey, man.
How's your anxiety levels
cool,
right
man.
now? Are they good?
It's pretty. Now, you see, what I have to say is that I'll say this to that, which is I live outside the jurisdiction of anxiety. So this is an entirely different experience I'm having. And it's like question. Well, what I say is coming from outside of this jurisdiction of anxiety. And because what was being said very early in the show there, this all is everything that was being said is questioning how anxiety has a hold on consciousness. You know, consciousness has been put in the back seat, and it is not able to say anything. It's not able to make any decisions, and it's got this madman driving the car at really high speed, and it's really difficult to control the car while that's happening. And this is actually the event of anxiety in the mind. And all these ways of the system actually just replicate, to a certain extent, that relationship of how anxiety events in the mind. And
Okay.
and this is the thing. So the whole power structure of the system as it is because the general public believe that anxiety is wisdom. And
So,
the thing of it is, I found out that anxiety is actually a political entity. And when conventional wisdom is that anxiety is wisdom, it not only evaporates the concept of wisdom, but it also evaporates the concept of anxiety. So there's this Wild West situation going on, and all that exists, and then we start speaking, and then we have these social pillars and the social mores, and everything is post this event of anxiety. And because when you look at it critically, like, religion's really the main player of what is set, what reality is, right?
mm-hmm,
Financial system is following religion.
mm-hmm,
So the principle that it operates under is something that was ratified and validated by religion as reality. And religion was able to do that because it was a pre-existing, it was the pre-existing dynamics of the people. And so really, it's not the forest, it's not the trees in the forest, it's absolutely the forest. And so by this thing that they control us, they replicate the function of anxiety. That's what the Twin Towers was about. False flag events is about. It's put the whole country into shock. And you can see a document called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars.
mm-hmm.
Seen it. I like that. Yeah.
James actually has been saying there isn't an elephant in the room. We're in the elephant.
Yeah. What's going on?
So
because it actually starts with us and what we
Whoa,
believe.
there's music playing.
yeah, sorry, I'm just having to move my van off the yard. I'm sorry about it. It's got a bit of Brother Bob Marley on there.
You should turn it off because we'll get.
I have done. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thanks.
Mute your mics if you're not talking, please. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, sorry, David. Let David say something, James, because obviously you've just come in and you're slightly different avenue. What do you reckon of what James is saying, David?
Hello, brother James. Pleased to meet you. I'll go slow and yes, I'd like to know what your work base is, what your methodology is, or what documents you could reference or works or anything like that to make, because we operate in law, we operate on claims and first-hand knowledge. So I'm looking for let me turn the camera on. I don't need to hide. I'm just in my kitchen, brother. But yeah, first-hand knowledge, any kind of substance over form for your claims. If you make a claim, I'd like to. I'm not going to grill you. I'm just saying I use the law of attraction and the power of intent. I have a connection with some kind of consciousness on a vibratory level. It communicates via synchronicities, visual, verbal, written, numbers, things like that. And yeah, it's kind of it's truly unique. But we know that, or we understand that what you inwardly project and envisage at the temple, you will outwardly manifest and attract in your life. So I would say that two of the prolific guys that I look at for my mentors in that area would be Alan Watts and who else? Think and Grow Yourself Rich by Napoleon Hill, and other such articles by Napoleon Hill. Those guys for my philosophical, moral, ethic code. And we know there's a sub-quantum reality out here, and I would direct you to the double slit experiment to show you about the quantum reality at which we live in with subatomic and atomic levels. And when you go on to Dr. Masaru Emoto and look at the rice water experiment and you see what he did with that, that just blows your mind again. And when you try it and you do the love and the hate and the other, it's like I've seen quite a lot for myself, and I use these laws that they're invisible, like these laws we talk about man and God and the covenants, and they have got credence, they work. You can't measure them, you can't see them, you can't touch them, but believe you me, I've used them, and it's truly incredible. So I can reference and I can take you to them, and I can give you the evidence of what I'm basing my logic on, and that's law of man, reality, love, consciousness, vibration, and then law of the governance of the covenant of man, the different laws, the common law, and the equity and the dominion, like Andy and I have been talking about. But there is some other very powerful laws here that we accidentally found. I yield.
Now, we're having the same experience. Okay, we are having the same experience with the same evidence that creates the suspicions that leads us to these conclusions that there's something not right here. And so the reality is
James, you're breaking up.
The evidence, you talk about evidence and law, and well, here's the evidence tension that the media are always promoting bad news, right? Always saying bad news, bad news, bad news. Yep.
James, you're breaking up a little bit. Turn your camera off.
Yeah. The media always promoting turn my camera off.
Yeah.
Okay. The media telling bad news all the time is virtually. The media telling bad news all the time is promoting anxiety as virtuous and wisdom, while all of the problems have their genesis in an anxiety. That is one evidence. Another evidence is that practice, which is common at the macro and the micro, okay, because as you will know, all people will know, the people in their environment, their social group, the people that are always talking about this or that or this or that, they are the ones that are expressing the most anxiety. And that's why the fifth law of anxiety is that all people must acquiesce to they that are expressing the most anxiety. And this is the secret reason the Jewish people have special status. It is because of the fifth law that we must acquiesce to they that are expressing the most anxiety. And evidence is that.
James, can I ask you a question? Is it possible for you to read out? Is it possible for you to read out these 8 laws for people now? Because we've never heard them. I don't think we've heard of number 5 now, or number 3 another day. Or it would be good to hear them, one after one.
Astral.
Yeah, it would.
1 and 2 are on Sun and Moon.
Yeah, I would like to hear them. Now you're talking my language. Let's go. Yeah, this is good. This is the shit. Pardon my French.
This is the shit. This is the revelation of the 8 laws.
Go on, lad.
And this is the party I'm starting that I'm going to see the Green Party about today, because they get treated like children in the political sphere by the media and by other political parties and by social commentators and by PR people. This is going to give them massive more traction. Okay, here are the 8 laws. Now, this is exclusively observation from behaviors after the consideration of all the beliefs, the social mores of not just my people, Caucasian people, but all people. Okay, so just go on a little segue for a minute. It's not the Islamization of the West Islam wants. It is the westernization of Islam that they want, because they love consciousness. This is all the truth of it. While the world believes that consciousness does not exist, we are not going to answer any of these problems. Okay, first law of anxiety, right? your anxieties. The second law of anxiety is you must allow all others to conceal their anxieties. Third law of anxiety, you must allow when someone wants to ignore, like the government does. Fourth law of anxiety, and this is the big catalyst, you must accept without question the dishonesty that is caused by the first three laws. Now that is what people do, that is what happens in the event in the mind, okay? Fifth law of anxiety. Now, laws 5 to 8 are about the political correctness of anxiety, okay? The political correctness of anxiety. Because anxiety is a political entity because it governs language and thought. That is why it is a political entity. Fifth law of anxiety. You must acquiesce to they that are expressing the most anxiety. Sixth law of anxiety. You must express loyalty to the laws of anxiety. Seventh law of anxiety. You must disrupt and maintain an ongoing disruption to they that seek to challenge the laws of anxiety. And the eighth law of anxiety is you must always promote anxiety as virtuous. Now, the sixth law and the eighth law you might think are the same, but it's for a different context, because there is always the case of the aggressive stance of anxiety and then people that are in the defensive stance of anxiety. And this is actually...
Fight or flight. We call that fight or flight mode to most of us, then that would be. Sorry, go on, brother. I'm loving this.
That's the call at the time when the event happens. Now, everyone knows about these 8 laws because consciousness instinctively intuits. It's because anxiety has hijacked consciousness. It has all the cognitive power of consciousness. And this is the massive deception, because everyone thinks that anxiety is actually consciousness. Everyone thinks that anxiety is wisdom. This is why money is the great imposter. The function of money is the great imposter of the function of consciousness. Now, with all of these things, especially this business of the secret bank account situation, all of these things are based on the belief that anxiety is wisdom. All of them. This is why this discovery that anxiety is wisdom is the most super duper science fiction thing ever, because this thing of consciousness has been manifested in this world, and the first thing that happens is it experiences this culture shock experience of being born and coming into the world. And it's only a matter of feeling temperature, hearing noise, and it's all like this. Massively, totally different to the environment consciousness exists in the consciousness realm. And so we go through this first few years where the baby does not possess language. And that's really significant, because that actually is how consciousness thinks. It's not with words, it is with political optics. Okay, that is the thought, and that is the language actually of consciousness. And it is when we begin to speak, anxiety becomes a political entity. And we actually, this comes about because we as babies that don't possess language, we instinctively conceptualize what the process is doing according to the means to express. And for this reason, this is all a massive freak accident. It's just a massive freak accident. And there's a great many of the people that are in the elite, and they think they're doing God's work by organizing society, and but this is without the knowledge that consciousness actually is real. And so this is the thing that's going on. And this friggin' thing, the revelation of the 8 laws, right, is a qualification of anxiety as a political entity, and this facilitates that we may figuratively hold anxiety in our hand and look at it. The political optics of that. is we've
Jim, may I ask-
separated it from. Yep.
Are you aware of cognitive dissonance?
Yes.
So you know that the language, and we us having no etymology since the 1960s, and a D-based language then is like the other part of the anxiety that now you're mentioning this. We are aware of the what would you call it, the handicap man has as an intellectual, intelligence wise, and as a language based interaction, understanding and using for enforcement of rights, you know, which turn out to be you know, privileges and benefits. So we were at a drastic bad situation here where we've got men turning into ladies. I'm not judging them, I'm just telling you what's happening when I open the window. We've got men that are committing suicide. Yeah, when I say men, I just mean man now. I don't mean the female. The female's got enough to do as it happens, holding up the family structure, and the man that's on antidepressants, drinking too much, taking cannabis, turning himself into a woman. You know, there's a lot going off in the environment. So you saying this is quite tremendous, because man has got tremendously weak. It was, you know, Second World War, 15-year-olds were signing up and trying to get into the trenches and do their bit for Queen and country. Now, you know, less than 100 years later, man's been reduced to I don't know, it's not an embarrassment, but it's significant change to what man used to be. Now that hasn't happened by genetic adaptation. That's happened by a contrived you know, twist and turn of things like what you're talking about, and the hijacking of the law and the science and the religion, and the church accepting. Look what the church have done and how they've accepted things, and what you're saying here is quite contrived through many ways. It isn't just one establishment that will be doing this. It's a big effort by many pharmaceutical companies, you know, the ingredients in food manufacture, the Food and Drug Administration. You know, it's a big game here, brother. And well done for saying it. Yes, thank you. That was incredible what you said. I yield.
Everything going on, there's only two sides to this. There's consciousness and then there's anxiety. There's the behavior anxiety and then there's the behavior of consciousness. The behavior of anxiety has a compulsion to control. It is very attention seeking, and it demands to have control of what is believed as the truth. The behavior of consciousness is to be creative and to acknowledge anxiety, right? And all, you know, everything in the modern world, you're talking about how language changed in the 1960s. Well, anxiety acts like it hasn't got any memory, because if you look objectively at the behavior of anxiety, people that have a high level of anxiety, they keep having to remind everyone that they've got lots of anxiety. Okay, so it's like anxiety doesn't have any memory. And this follows perfectly the inversion of consciousness. Consciousness has all memory. So you invert consciousness, and you get this thing that does not have any memory, and it keeps having to think. It has to remind everyone all the time, and you know, so it has to replicate. It has to replicate anxiety, the function of anxiety, on a constant basis, and that's why you get all these things going. See, the true purpose. This will blow your mind, man. Party to this discovery. Party to what is actually the truth. The true purpose of gender equality, right? Them raising gender equality is not to have equal pay between men and women. The gender equality argument is to put a question mark in the relationships between mothers and sons and fathers and daughters and men and women, because what the real underlying philosophical optimum outcome of what they're doing is to make the country culture neutral, which then replicates the optimum outcome of anxiety in the mind when the person is completely under the influence of anxiety and has completely capitulated to anxiety.
Identity crisis, yeah, a crisis of lack of belonging, identity, confusion, mixed up. Yeah, you got everybody saying, well, I'm white, Anglo-Saxon, Polish, you know, Indian, Buddhist, Chinese, all kinds of walks of life and demographics and mixes and, you know, ethnicities. And yeah, it's this is why we go on with the health and wealth and the sovereign self-governing. We're governed, but we're self-governed. You know, what did you mean about the anxiety is now knowledge? I got confused with that. I forgot to ask. What do you mean When you said that, then anxiety, I'm confused.
And no, the thing is, conventional wisdom is that anxiety, the conventional wisdom of civilization, conventional wisdom as ratified by religion, is that anxiety is wisdom and virtuous. Because anxiety is wisdom when you're considering what is happening around you. But when you are like wanting to make an impression on people, that is when anxiety is seen as virtuous. People are promoting anxiety as virtuous to people that believe that anxiety is wisdom. So the underlying thing here is that it is anxiety that is politically credible. Okay, and this has total control of our language. Now,
Like a judge.
go to my Facebook.
Sorry, yeah, I was going to say, like a judge in a courtroom, you know, a judge would bang the gavel and get like quite vexatious, and they interrupt your train of thought. Once they interrupt your train of thought, man starts to utter. Man starts to utter. Justice, the judge, you know, banker starts to take over and tell you what you've said. So they disrupt your train of thought in the judiciary, not because you know, it's well, it is fun to them. They do get off on it, I dare say, but they are trained to stop you in your tracks when you're attacking them legally, lawfully. You're going well, and they'll go, objection, and such, and they'll stop you. And in that realm, if you're not trained to be prepared for that and to kick back up with your little, you know, Kickstarter engine, you can end up in trouble. And that's because you then lose the control of the conversation, and the judge then takes control, or the judiciary, the clerk, maybe somebody objects, you know, there may be the opposing party, but somebody will be trained to interrupt you and take control of the courtroom and that train of thought, and it can sometimes be quite perilous. So that's down to fear and anxiety and loss of, you know, loss of consciousness, because you're in that realm of attack mode and defense, and suddenly you then start to be attacked, and because it turns around so quickly on the mind, you have like a little blank spot, you know, and you're like up, and you stutter and you mummer, and then that's it. They're just like, it's a torrent. So that, for all listening, if you know, that's a complete real reality of what can happen to the consciousness and the mind. Sorry, brother, to butt in, but I thought that was quite relevant to say, and I'd forget it otherwise.
Yeah, no, very good. Well spotted. Actually, good. You've done that for that reason, actually. Good. Yeah, actually, that is in the courtroom, and a lot of social situations that happens. You know, that happens in the micro and the macro. That's what the media do to people they interview, right? This is replicated in a lot of places. But when see, that's a replication of the function of anxiety as it events in the mind. But when that event takes place in the mind, it literally takes a thousandth of a second for that whole process to transpire. And the significance of our language, through our language, that religion has ratified this as reality, right? This is one of the overlapping anti-tamper measures. Okay, we already think that anxiety is wisdom, and so this is massive control. So the true slavery going on is that as soon as anxiety ankle taps consciousness from its natural process, okay, anxiety has won, because as soon as you take consciousness away from its natural process, which is the expression, okay, it's the spontaneous expression. As soon as they start writing it down and medical with it, okay, that is putting anxiety in handcuffs, because it forces it to go really slowly. It forces consciousness to go really slowly according to the speed of thought that consciousness at. Okay, so this is the true slavery right there, because as I say, I'm coming from outside of the jurisdiction of anxiety to the elephant to get people to come out of the elephant. And so this is what's going on. Consciousness is real, and this is the only thing really that's going on. You know, you talk about you know, why do wealthy as people have the compulsion to spend every waking moment making? Okay, this is replicating the function of anxiety. Okay, so You can look around, you can look at my data, my discovery, this message I'm bringing, and you can see around us and through civilization, all of these significant things around us that are a pure replication of the event of anxiety. And that brings it down to how super amazing this is, because consciousness is actually the most amazing science fiction story there is and will ever be. And while they have us in this position where we're virtual slaves and they have us believing we have no future and there's no hope, and people turn to drugs, there's massive behaviors that people turn to try and exist while this total dictatorship is, forcing itself on people like drugs. I'm not surprised that people want to get off the crazy train and have some quality time with consciousness. That's what people are doing with the drugs. This is what people do with music.
Escape. It's an escape.
It's an escape. That's right. Because this thing that has control of language, anxiety, it has control of the development of language itself, because the event of birth that culture shocked anxiety into existence pre-existed any language. Okay, and so
can I say
all of our civilization has so many votes of confidence in that anxiety is wisdom, because the rationale and justification for conflict is backed up by money, wanting money, right? So the cause of conflict is actually the money. Actually, it's just a speedometer of what the spirit is doing. And so you can see there that the speedometer, if money is a speedometer, anxiety, because consciousness has no desire for possessions. Actually, we are firm experience we're having, and so that they have imprinted on the psyche and throughout civilization,
James,
that possessions are the height of civilized life is part of it. Yeah, Aaron.
No, James. I think he's on a slight time delay there, guys. By the way, and what, Andy, you wanted to say something to James?
Yeah. I was going to say that there's a couple of points there that I wish to pick up on. One being that he was saying before a baby can speak, the way they communicate. It's much the way we communicate today. It's through feeling. When we're in a situation or an environment, we have a feeling when something is good or bad, don't we? We pick up on it, and that right there is a consciousness, but people are just not aware of it. And much with everything else in life, the duality, the yin and yang, the up and down, the in and out. My belief is that anxiety is the yin, and the yang to that is the depression, because anxiety can evoke depression. And one is forward tense and one is past tense. And they are both emotions of the mind. And the mind to myself is like that of oil. It's very pessimistic. It's a negative thing. It's always the mind that tells you your bum looks fat in your skirt. It's very negative, whereby I advocate and speak and wear my heart on my sleeve. And when you get that feeling in that environment or that emotion that something isn't right, it will tell your heart. And if you give your mind a moment to think and consider the situation, you will then be able to reiterate what's happening and then speak from the heart regarding it. And that is where the man speaks, as opposed to the person babbling from the mind, speaking of the future, something they can't control, something that's out of their control, because I've been too controlling through the ego. The mind is very clever at protecting the ego, stroking the ego of man.
That not well said, Andy. That what you were saying about babies as well. We communicate through, almost body language. We use our eyes. We smile.
Absolutely. So when he says the jurisdiction, I keep the mind a separate jurisdiction to the heart. One's oil, the heart is clean, the heart is water. We would endear to help old ladies and things like that. It's all from the heart.
Yeah.
So if we can give our mind a moment instead of just 100 miles an hour all the time, speaking straight from the top of the head, give it a chance to do its proper work. Don't suffer the future. Don't suffer the past, and resonate from your heart and let the mind do its proper job.
Yeah. So that's true. Now, that's why I say it's a thing of political optics. I mean, it's absolutely proof there for me. It's a little bit proof that how this turns out, right, this only can be that the baby thinks with political optics, because that's how it learns these things. And that's why language does not affect people with anxiety, because anxiety is literally not cognitive of words. It was created at a time when there was no language.
Because it's a feeling,
so
it's an emotion, and that emotion comes
So
and
this-
goes. It's knowing how to reside within it.
Yeah, so especially important to know and to be aware of is that, like, consciousness is real, and our consciousness actually thinks, its function. It does not think with words at all. Right now, this is an entirely new, virtually alien concept to people, that the actual way consciousness exists and works.
If anybody's had, sorry to interrupt, brother, but if anybody's had an hallucinogenic experience or tried any mushrooms one time and, you know, seen what they do, things like this, cactus root, you know, peyote mushrooms and so forth and so on, even is it salvia ditorum? There's many things that you can get legal and you know, lawful, and try and you know, hallucinate on, and the mind speaks to you without a language. And if anybody out there, I think a better way, or to assist you in what you're saying, I'm seeing it, but I want to say it for you. If you've taken any mind-altering, hallucinogenics, free, you know, drugs in your time, you will know what this man's saying there. That there is a language of non-verbal, non-resonance, isn't it? It's pictures and it's feelings and it's colours, symbols, vibrations, shapes, imagery, such things as I've seen are truly remarkable. I've taken a little bit of DMT privately, you know, with a private setup and experimented, and truly remarkable, absolutely incredible. It really is another world, absolutely. And I only did a little test, so I was intrigued, and I've got a right as a man to take plants and substances for medical, you know, and pharmaceutical reasons, and I wanted to expand the consciousness, brother. And yeah, on that, wow, that's truly, you know, incredible, to be fair. So I just wanted to aid that description for you. So if anyone out there now has done that, they'll be like, oh, that's what he's on about.
Yeah, but that's like, you know, for me, I've done this, right? It was like the group of us. See, I was a musician for 10 years, and one of them was a death metal band. And at this time, we had these mushrooms, man, and I literally saw sheets of purple lights. Right, sheets of lights drifting around, and that's like window shopping. Okay, that's like window shopping, because we have been, you know, we're having this experience, right, where it's been brought into being by consciousness. You know, it's like the Aborigines of Australia. You know, they've been around 40,000 years. Their belief is that the dream dreamed us. And so there's a purpose that we have been brought into this place and made. This is all happening, and I think it's because the consciousness wanted a means to truly test itself, and it couldn't do that in the consciousness realm, because in the consciousness realm, consciousness is a singular thing, right? But as people, we are individuals. All right, we can actually communicate, and we can actually take the experience of consciousness to a new level by actually having verbal communication and art. We can express consciousness from different perspectives, right? And this is all to the joy of consciousness. But in this format, it has to be said as well that what we believe of as reality. Okay, and then we take the DMT or whatever, that still influences our perception of what is happening in that experience. And so I'm a very strong advocate of feet in the consciousness realm. Like, the world has got both of its feet in the anxiety belief system. My aspiration is to put both of the feet in the consciousness realm and see things from consciousness's perspective. And through that, that's how I was enabled to make this discovery to add two and 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 two together to get to this discovery where the 8 laws of anxiety, if you haven't heard of it, if you go to the vids there on my channel and look at it, you'll see that this qualification that's mathematically sound, that is 100% observation, every facet of the human experience. Okay, it fits every facet of the human experience. And it also serves to qualify consciousness as real. And I can promise everyone, right, what is massively needed at the moment is new language to support consciousness, right? And we must discuss and put in place what is on the other side of this paradigm shift. Because as we people are thinking about this,
man, sorry,
everyone out there has suspicions they're not allowed to actually say about this, and they're not allowed to say them. They cannot articulate them. Literally, language does not exist in that political understanding where anxiety is believed of as wisdom. Literally, there is the language to support consciousness literally does not exist, and that's another of the overlapping anti-tamper mechanisms. And so this is the situation, and so that's what the game is. And I know that everyone's talking about this, and this qualification that anxiety is a political entity cannot be challenged by anyone because it actually fits every dynamic. Talking about the social issues, the effect on banking on the society, you know, all of these problems they love to keep trotting out for us to be worried about, it links to all of those issues. And that's what, see, that's the proof of consciousness right there.
So
this message that is so perfect.
Can I just say then, because you're going on, I'll forget again because you're like me, you go on and you give out quite a lot. So now I know I've met somebody that's, wow, consciousness. I'm an indigo consciousness. I collate quite a lot of data. I collect it fragmented, you know, albeit, and then put it in little boxes. And I'm quite OCD. I'm ADHD. I've got a lot of issues, but they're all positives. Compared to the normal ones out there, but consciousness, I've met and interacted with a truly an amazing an amount of consciousnesses. Consciousness exists in two primary forms, I would argue, in my research, as love and hate. George Lucas portrayed the Jedi Force in the Star Wars film, and he also let Master Yoda say that you know, fear, it leads to the dark side, doesn't it? The fear. I love Yoda, and I'm sorry about the impression, but we need to laugh now and again in these dark times and moments. Yeah, man.
I love when you do those impressions. That Yoda one is brilliant. Vince does a good Yoda impression as well.
We need to remember to smile, to breathe, and to look up. There is a remedy, there is a solution. What you're saying is bang on, but what we've since found out is that there is a quantum science, a deeper side to life that we've had shielded from us. And in a simplified paraphrase, yeah, we do a health and wealth show, and Andy as well as I, you know, teaches a certain different karmic you know, way of life now, and how to have a positive mental attitude and to manifest your own reality and to monitor your thoughts. And you know, we have this vibrationary level which we are trying to
inward
raise
manifestation, outwardly attracts. That's the laws of nature.
Yeah, and this anxiety is only one of the what did I say, love and fear. So it comes from fear. Anger comes from fear. You know, hate leads to the dark side. So you know, the Jedi Master can use the Force. The Force is within. You know, and we've got that Creator, the essence of the Creator. We are fully competent under the dome. You know what I mean? I've met myself at the temple, and we've looked at these keys and clues, and we've made our own analogies and assumptions. And you're coming off, I must say, a little bit negative about this anxiety, but it is because everybody, unless they know about this, actually suffers from it. No, I'm just saying it is a serious thing, and everybody does have it. I'd argue 60 to 80% of man will be suffering from this because they're drinking, smoking, and on antidepressants, and probably, you know, claiming benefits. So I know they will be. I've been there, and I've done that. So I can't, you know,
anxiety is a positive thing. Anxiety is a good thing. Anxiety is gut. Anxiety
guarding,
is where your fight
guarding.
and flight's at. You
Yeah,
either fight
yeah.
or you flight. So you
Like
went
fear.
up on it on that moment. But
Yeah.
if you perpetuate the situation and carry on with it and then dwell on it and then you carry on with it, that's when you suffer it. And to suffer in the dictionary, as I've said, is to allow. And you're not to allow it. That's your mind working overtime. Listen to your heart. Your heart shall not suffer, you were taught. That's where it's at. That's where your optimum resonance frequency is from. Don't listen to the pessimistic mind.
No, there is a language. Yeah, your heart, your mind speak to each other, and also your gut. We find so you have 1, 2, and 3 all speaking. And you've touched upon some really good points as well. I'm not condemning anything you've said. I'm quite empathetic to hear that, and we'd like to add to it from the research we found, and to say that you know, it's endearing to hear this, and it's very good knowledge for the ones out there. To what's your ultimate advice then with regards to anxiety and how to counter it? You know, and to be effective with it, and to ultimately, you know, control it. What have you got in the way of that? Because for me, it was stopping smoking and removing all of the toxins and doing some meditation for a bit and going away and finding myself. And I found, without any medication and alcohol and tablets, and I found myself and built up from that, you know. I yield.
So there's multiple things in there. Firstly, I'll say that how consciousness communicates. There's like 30 times more data available to consciousness than an anxiety perspective, because consciousness can extremely detailed nuances. And that's critical to understand, because you communicate, but you go to communicate to someone else, and this is the difference. So it can be said that anxiety and consciousness speak virtually different languages. To read you something, to
James, you're breaking up a little bit.
The Labour Party, the governor of my electorate, right? Because I'm going to see her on Friday, right? I'll just read statement.
Can I just?
Did
you just say electorate?
Data point.
Did you say electorate?
Here's a statement.
He's on a bit of a time
phenomenon of
delay.
civilization of consciousness that existed after the culture shock experience of.
Stop the man.
Yes. This phenomenon of civilization that existed after the event of the culture shock of being born, uniform for every mind that has been brought
James,
into
you're breaking
the
up a bit.
world.
James, can you hear me?
Has remained as conventional wisdom of the mind for the reason of it being thought, which is a political optics that we.
It's at the edge of the world.
James, you're breaking
James, get
up
some
a
flipping
bit.
headphones, brother.
James, you're breaking up a bit, and other people were trying to say something, and you just kept. Anyway, you two jump in while James has stopped, because we know James loves to talk.
Did you say, James? Did you say electorate?
Well, it's important.
I'm going to see my local electorate. Is that what you said?
The government minister. Yeah. The government minister for my electorate, I have an appointment with her 5 p.m. for this.
Okay.
Because here's the thing.
While
of the human experience, while this facet of the human experience is causing all of our problems, it's also the power base for those that control us as well. Okay? Where they get their power from over us is the same thing that is causing all of our problems. Okay, that is what I've discovered.
The power they have over us is through our own acquiescence, our own cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, but the observation is their political power over the 99% thing that is causing all of our problems.
Mm-hmm.
because the same thing is what we find politically credible, and that's why it's having those two outcomes.
What about law? Never mind
That's what
politics
I've
and political. What about law? What
Yeah,
about
I'm gonna
lawfully
say.
correct? We
Well,
do
you're in
law.
you're in the wrong realm.
Andy's going to just have a, yeah, we don't do it like that. We do it with go on, Andy. What was you going to say? I don't want to be rude and jump in.
No, me neither, mate. I'm just listening to what he's saying there, but that's not which I would advocate, because they are sworn an oath of office to another society, not of ours. We are not there to utter their language. We are not trained. We are not of the bar society. We can't speak their language. You would have to hold them in contempt.
You're talking about the legal world where we believe in inherent law.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
But we're not of that society. You are not of the legal realm. Are you sworn of that society? Are you a registered solicitor or a barrister?
No, I 100% am loyal to consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so this qualification brings forth the articulation of the values of consciousness, because qualifying anxiety automatically qualifies consciousness, because anxiety has merely hijacked consciousness. All of the whole thing of anxiety is because of the cognitive power of consciousness. That is why it has power. It has taken control of the cognition. Okay, and so this is the qualification. But
fear is taking control of it. Hate is taking control. Fear is taking control. Anxiety. Because consciousness exists in many forms. It exists in the living form. It exists in rocks, in plants, in vibrations, in music, in water, in animals. All of the animals and the insects, they all have consciousness. The plants, the biorhythms of the planet. So, yeah, the consciousness is not all anxiety from our point of view. We have
water
a consciousness.
Has memory. Yeah,
we
water
have
has memory.
Andy and I are promoting a very strong consciousness within the Anglo landmass at the moment to man about law, and we're having a little movement now of our own, which might be called the sovereign, Declaration of Independence, what man has found, in his righteous moments under the, I don't know what we're doing. We're trying to fulfill a prophecy and leave a legacy for our blood, namely property, in reference to who they are and what rights they have in power, to override international courts. We might be making an international declaration of sovereign independence, a peace treaty, and a declaration of trust in the next year to formulate a geographic
Chiefs of our own settlement, exactly that.
This is where we're at. We don't go to the government and ask and submit and protest.
No.
We would compel and require and wish and talk to the international community and get them to recognise, and we would sidestep the international law and maybe make a place of our own, you see. So we have ideas of grandeur of that design, in a private capacity, talking of estates and moving the estates and the titles across and using the instrumentation and the high grand master court in order to move this, and to change this title and to invoke this new cognitive consciousness of that we are self-governed and that we are private and we are not subservient to any government or statutory rule, unless we break a crime.
Subservient to the serpent.
Yeah, can I say, I've got to say, man, that the revelation of the 8 laws is what you need, because I'm serious. The means that they have power over the 99% is the same thing as it's giving us all of our problems, and it's because of anxiety's control of language. Now, if we stop anxiety's control of language, we stop all their power. Okay, and then, as you've so well put it, you've so well intimated, the silent majority then starts to be having a voice and asserting itself. And that's what we want for the paradigm shift. That is the thing of it. To be able to articulate consciousness where it has been forbidden, there's no language to support consciousness, there's multiple overlapping anti-tamper measures to stop people even going near doing that, So now that the articulation is there, and there's all these cool data points, man, this is totally going to happen now.
Consciousness is
So I'm
simply
seeing
the
the Green
vibration
Party
of love,
today.
the resonance.
I'm seeing the Green Party today, which are part of the government. The senior party to the government, which is the Labour Party, on Friday, right? I have a plan on to move to the biggest city in New Zealand, to where the political establishment is based, and I'm taking this qualification to them, because while they say they want to answer all these problems, and they're always talking about these problems, and here is a means to answer to the problems. What are they going to do?
So will you be lawfully
What are they going to do?
Are you going to lawfully object then as a private? Are you going to present as a citizen? Are you going to present as a
What's your status and
how
capacity?
are you going to do this? And I'll be interested. It's very good you've got that will and incentive and intent. So your intent is just. So now how do you get them to hear you? What is it you're going to do?
Look, the thing is, you got law. The law.
Oh, it's gone.
Okay,
You're breaking up,
that
You broke up.
actual
James, you're breaking up
political topography has nothing to do with the law. All to do with how anxiety wants to bail out. I think if my feed's crap,
Yeah.
but I think it's been totally amazing to say these things to you, and I'm available again, and I am putting this bold: the observed morality of civilization. Okay, the observed morality of civilization. Now, I know being anti-Semitic is a big no-no, right? Well, you go look at the Revelation of the 8 Laws, and I'm telling you, that is the most anti-Semitic document ever written. Okay, and you can find the bottom of the rabbit hole with any point. Okay, if you look into it, you can find the bottom of the rabbit hole by any of these data points, man.
We have looked into it. We found the bottom of the rabbit hole is contained in deceptive language that looks like English, sounds like English, writes like English, but isn't actually English. It's legalese. The documentation, the deception, the non-disclosure, the constructive statutory trust that they've set up and put us in, and put us in as the trustee and taken away our allodial titles, property. We found out quite a great deal, and we know about the fear from the news channels. When you watch a news story, remember that it's just that, a news story. It's a story, so don't watch stories. You need to do a bit more diligent. Not you yourself, not you, brother, but everybody. These are stories that are news. That's what they are. They're Hollywood productions and stuff. And we've got quite a lot of. We've lost the fear. You'll be pleased to know, and we are promoting how to lose that fear through articulate, intelligent ways.
Pseudonym for each role.
What's that, brother? Go on.
Hey, so what you're saying is you have observed the replication of the function of anxiety. That is what you've just described to me. It is replicating the event as it events in the mind. And I'll just say again, this is the most super sci-fi thing possible. Consciousness is, man. And but I got to go. The real estate person's turning up to look at the house, to sell it, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And I'll be looking out for you again.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. It's been great.
See you, James.
Peace and love.
Hey, the Cry for Evolution Answered video. Cry for Evolution Answered.
If you leave a comment leave a comment in the thread, and I'll pick up the channel and subscribe and have a look. Yeah, thank you, brother.
Yeah, copy
Peace
that.
and love.
Cheers, James.
See you later.
Thank you, James. James, I've put he's because he's quite analytical, and when he talks, he could talk for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I asked him to break down the 8 laws. So 1 and 2 are on Sun and Moon, and his channel's in there. If you want, you can find it that way. If you want, David.
Yeah, we'll do. I'll have a look, sister. Thank you. Yeah.
Also, I think what James's part is that we think we're being virtuous and we're being, we've got wisdom, But we don't realise that the wisdom we're talking about is only anxiety, which we've been programmed with. I think that's another way of putting what he's talking about.
I did get a bit lost. I was like, what do you mean wisdom is knowledge? I mean, anxiety is wisdom.
No, what it is we think we're being wise with our wisdom, but all it is we've been programmed with anxiety. So the only thing we're giving back is anxiety. We're not giving wisdom at all.
Which is bad communication. So our communication is the downfall, which is down to the D-based language and the programming of the indoctrination. And the media, the music, you don't need to look far to find bad influence, do you? Sex sells, it's on billboards, it's kids can get it on a mobile now at the age of 7, 8, 10. It's just ridiculous. If I was in government and we was in control, I'm sure that man would install some laws that said, all sexual websites are to be accessed using, and only, a certain way would be put in place. We probably wouldn't
be accessed. They are to be banned overnight.
Yeah, you might outlaw them. Yeah, that's the thing. So, to tolerate this is when our children are going to be next. And that's what we keep, seeing, that man is incapable of making a decision. Liverpool, they boycotted the Sun. Respect to you. Anybody that scouts in Liverpool, I bow to your, and wow, that's power. That's manpower, I yield.
David, he's put his link in the chat room.
Oh, good.
Thanks, James.
I just put a couple of photos, a couple of pictures in the back chat there today. I was on a website or a YouTube channel today, and there was a lady talking about these T-shirts that she'd found at a mall. Right? If you can see them on the back chat there, channel, Karen.
I will afterwards, because I'm on my phone and the computer, and I don't want to touch anything. All
right, well, I'll just explain quickly. I can't put them on the thing, but there is it's a T-shirt. They're for kids. The first one is 2 children with knives, and it's called "My First Knife Fight." I mean, what are they trying to do? These are new. This is in America. They're kind of like a little bit retro looking.
Oh my goodness!
Seriously, and then there's another one called "Devil's Music Sing Along," and there's a record player playing. There's 3 children sat around a record player, and it's on fire. You need to see these, Karen. Or other people need to see them if you've not seen them.
I will. I'll have a look at them. Oh my goodness.
I'll see if I can post a link. But what is the world coming to when you see this? And these are in a mall over in America.
Fire, you say, brother. Bruce Willis on a cardboard cutout in a Hungarian Tesco, in a super Tesco, and in also the Spars out there. So in more than one outlet, Bruce Willis is on this big like cardboard, his face anyway. John McClane to me, you know what I mean? I loved him in some ways. John McClane, I love that shit. But now he sees that he's that hard up. He's had to resort to selling and endorsing a product called Hell. The tinned drink is called Hell, and he's got his face on it. He must be obviously getting an endorsement fee for that.
The drink, it denotes the symbol 666, doesn't it?
Monster, yeah, Jewish symbols, and it's like there's other drinks out there called Burn, Bomb, Fire, and Hell, and then there's Monster. And so it's like, what? Look at the names of them energy drinks there, and it's like, you're right.
I was just going to say, David, I've seen a few as well in the stores that, they've got skulls on them and, death, all sorts of weird emblems and symbols. And it's getting crazy, man. Go around your local off license or whatever. Just look. You don't need to buy anything. You can just look and you can see how it's getting darker and darker. Anything to do with alcohol is getting much darker.
Yeah, see the laws, right? Look at all the ingredients. What we've got there is peanuts, salted peanuts, yes? But then you go around the back, you go, what am I eating? Let's have a look. And how many ingredients? These are different countries. The white circle is a different language. They've come from out in Europe. But I looked at the back, I went, I'm hungry. I wanted something to eat. I didn't want to buy all the rubbish.
I'm hungry.
I'll get some nuts. You can't go wrong with salted peanuts, can you? And I turn around. But then you've got the law system says that all the ingredients that might be anaphylactic shock, like got to be put in bold. So then you've got ingredients, and you'll be able to go in your cupboards. You just made me think, like, you know, and it's legally, they've got a responsibility to publish it, but you look at the tiny print, you can hardly read it. You know, that's a legal limit of tiny print to confuse you. So you just go blurred, give up.
David, does it say anywhere on that package on the back may contain nuts? Traces of nuts, because they do.
That's right.
Probably in Hungarian, Polish, Latvian, German, Russian, Netherlands. You know, like, it's got no English on it. To be fair, it's Czech, Slovakian. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, there's things that they tell you, and they do legally tell you this will kill you.
Disclaimer, that's why it's a disclaimer for the allergens.
Yeah.
Perpetuated by vaccination.
This will kill you. This contains shit, and it will, and it does. You know, sorry to swear, but they do tell us this, and it's like, you know, you can argue that the poisons and everything, the bread, the plastic, the grain, what Santos was saying about the grain,
grain, the fluoridated water they mix with it,
how it affects the brain, you know, this bread and stuff. So we have got a lot to consider in the realm of, and it does start with your body and treating and respecting and loving yourself before you can even think about loving another. So if you are anxious, suicidal, depressed, drinking too much, not eating enough, not sleeping too well, biting your nails, you know, worrying too much, smoking, all of it, then you need to address that and perhaps talk to your missus if you're a bloke, and don't think that it's some kind of failure, because you're going to blow soon, and when you blow, it's never pretty. So no, from me, I've blown, and it's not pretty, and it doesn't end well. It takes a bigger man, doesn't it, to say, I think there's a problem here, love, we need a chat now, you know, and do it. You know, that's my advice to it all. It's not a failure at all, you know. It's just taking time to stop.
It's an honest attempt. Yeah. There's never a failure, Ed. There's always an honest attempt.
Yeah, we have this opinion, you know, man should be, woman should be, but look, woman's become just the same as man. She gets drunk. You know, remember Prodigy music video, Smack My Bitch Up, and he did that video like it was a bloke going out, drinking beer, and at the end it's that woman in the toilet, and everyone's like, oh, the horror, a lady going out, oh. And the Prodigy were like, yeah, you know it. Remember it? Sorry. Example of society.
I actually met those guys at an airport once, and sat and had a few beers with them. It was interesting, to say the least. Yeah.
Incredible minds, eh?
Yeah, I actually went to one of the restaurants, little restaurant where my parents live, where they filmed one of their ladies. I actually recognised it in just into Norfolk, near Suffolk, Norfolk. Anyway, it's been really interesting. Did you agree? Did you like what James had to say, or did you feel that he's coming in at a slightly different angle, I suppose, isn't he?
For me, anxiety is an emotion of the mind as I speak. It's oily, it's pessimistic, negative. If you resonate from the heart, that which is positive and proper, it's a higher vibrational consciousness. It's where you'll override anything that's pessimistic of the mind. You won't mind if your bum looks fat because you feel comfortable in yourself anyway. Let's go out the door, we're off. Lovely jubbly. It's only a perception that you think others have of you. That's what holds you back. That's the fear. That's the anxiety. Be one with yourself, inner bliss, inner peace. Don't look anywhere else for it. It's all within.
Yes. My poem that I put on Sun and Moon, your eyes are the windows into your soul, and it's all within. I asked this question.
If you haven't got it within, you're going to be constantly without. And that's why you'll be meditating, meditations, looking for these things. You're constantly going to be without, because you don't feel sufficient enough to have it within. And that's where the problem is right now.
I used to ask this question, do you live outside in or inside out?
Spirit holds in a vessel, so
I reside within.
Yeah,
within
it's inside
myself.
out. Yeah,
that's right. Everything else outside is by the way. It's all stuff.
Yeah, those were the days, my psychology days.
Everything else is a perception. It's how you perceive it. It's how you enact upon it. It's not the size of the mountain. It's how you get over it.
Well, Andy, that you were saying before about, it comes from the heart. If you consider this now, if you're going to let's say you're going to a party or you're going to go see some friends or whatever, right? You can go into the room and you can have a big smile on your face, and open your arms, and for sure you're going to get a good reaction. But if you go into a room, kick the door down, and you've got a baseball bat and you smash the TV, you're going to get a totally other reaction, aren't you? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what you're going to attract. That's what you're inwardly manifesting. That's what you're going to outwardly attract. That's the laws of nature,
Exactly.
The laws of attraction right there. So,
like
if you can go into a room fully smiling and someone's still going to hate you anyway, but they're only seeing you in them. You only see yourselves in others. There's only something about themselves that they hate about you, but they can't see that yet. You need to be awoken to that fact.
Yeah, so basically when we do things like people put stuff out on, say, YouTube, all they're doing is showing you all the issues they have.
Yes, exactly that. What they shout about another is exactly what's in them. They see themselves in the others and they're talking of it unbeknowingly. That's a subliminal thought. So that's the anxieties right there. That's what your man's speaking of right there. Because they're not wondered themselves. They don't know whom they are. They don't know where their realm is. They don't know how to fit into society. They don't know what it is to be that of a man. And we own up to responsibility and take the age of maturity seriously and take those around you seriously and give yourself and those around you the love and respect that's duly required within a fulfilling life.
Yeah, I like a lot of the things you say, Andy.
Thank you. It's how I live my life. I speak truly from my heart, and it resonates with all, I hope, because I speak from the heart to the heart. It's not belligerent mind talk. It's not off the top of the head.
But they have enjoyed, haven't they? Because I read this book. This is years ago, before Flat Earth and all that kind of stuff, and it was called something the house. So basically, life is like a house. So there's a basement, first floor, second, whatever, up to unconditional love. But nearly everybody's living in the basement. It's cold, dark, dingy down there. No one knows what's going on. Everybody's bumping into each other, and nobody knows how to sort anything out. Yeah.
They're denying everything, mainly themselves.
Yeah.
And they're denying the help of others. And that's when they become recluse and excluded. They'll exclude themselves further from any given help or society.
Andy, can I just say your mic's a bit muffled. I don't know what's... you got something in the way of it or something? Just so
yes, sorry, it's rested. I'm also on my phone and it's my earphone. Sorry, it was trapped under my t-shirt. Is that better?
Much better.
Crystal clear, Albine.
Oh, what? Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I
don't think we've come from a very nice place either, because when we turn around, it seems that all adults liked children, no matter which way, especially back in the Victorian time. So things must have been worse then than they are now, because at least now it's sort of more recognised that these things are happening and shouldn't happen, and people are going to prison, or I don't even like...
It was recognised then, but they didn't have the right of the media. They didn't have the platform in which to show that which they're doing. They're lowering the consensual age anyway. It's in the agenda now, whereby they're dropping the legal age of consent to 7, and then after everyone's got over that and finished being sick about it, they're going to eradicate it altogether. So there should be no such crime as paedophilia, which in my mind there isn't anyway. There's only molestation. For a paedophile is exactly that. It's a pedo. It's a medical term for a child. It's a paedophile, that which you keep in a cabinet. These people aren't paedophiles, they're molesters, they're wrongdoers, and they need stringing up by the knackers. How's that? Sorry about that.
Common law breach, isn't it? There, that's when man's property. We don't know how to hold to account. You'd argue that for common law court. They have the Manslaughter Act and so forth. So they have a paedophile, which is a terminology that the legal realm use, and the civilization, the civil sector.
It's a legalese term, that's right.
Yeah, civil law, civil society, civilization, people, persons, legal, it's all the same realm. So the civil law, think of it as that, common law and civil law. Common law is the man's law, and this public statutory 26 million civil. And it's just the way they used to get away. The round
of conduct, eh? Yeah, they didn't honour themselves.
You know, when I first heard that a man had got a life sentence 5 times, I was like, "What, Mum? How did?" I was only like 11 or something. I was like, "Did they just say they'd given him 5 times life?" And then she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "But how can you serve five like what?" And she was like, "Ah, but they only get life's 25 years." I'm like, "Why? What? Surely life is
it
life."
gives the society something to make. Yeah, but the taxpayers have to keep these lifers in prison. It's our tax money.
It might have been
No, no,
Bronson,
no.
you
It's the
know,
birth
somebody like
certificate money. It's
it
the
might have been
bonding money.
Bronson. If somebody like that
Yes.
big, you know, in the time when I was little, and the Bronson or someone, it's Manson, Bronson, or something. It weren't Indley or anybody then. They were later, but it
Big
was
money.
somebody nasty, you know. That, and I was like, how can you have five? Like, it's proper kicked off, like, or done
If there was
something.
no crime, commerce would collapse overnight. Crime is big business. Alcohol resides alongside
I
with it.
agree with that. Prison is
It.
all about money.
Nothing else. That's why it's all privatised. That's why it's all entrusted. That's why it's run by a board of governors, and it's run there for profit. And it only obtains its profit through fine and forfeiture. No other way. There's no government subsidy. They're in debt as well. That's why we're collateralised to them. Bonded. We've been bondaged and intercoursed with and shafted every day of the week if you don't know who you are.
The lie and the truth. Yeah, it reminds me of there's a parable, the lie and the truth. The truth is quite short. The truth went down to the river for a swim one day, for a cool, refreshing swim, and took off its clothes and had a swim. And you know, as it was doing so, the lie walked past and took his clothes off, or its clothes off, and put the truth's clothes on, and walked around town, and everyone was like, "Oh, look at you! Don't you look fine and dandy? Look at you! You're looking dapper." And the lie was like, "Yes, you like me now? I look like the truth. That's because I'm wearing the truth's clothes." You
Masquerading.
know, yeah. And then the truth got out the river and was like, "Oh man, they're not my clothes. Sugar. I'm not putting on the lie's clothes. So I'll rather walk around naked." And so the truth walks around naked, and nobody liked it. It was like, "Oh, you're naked. The naked truth." And that's what we do. We go around and produce the naked truth, and some people will absolve it and accept it and go and research it of their own, and some people run away saying that you're a loon, you know, a bit like
Can
what
I
you
say
get.
something? Can I say something? I don't know whether people will agree with me or not agree, whatever, but after looking, because we don't have the death penalty, and I got a bit into that, and then realizing in America it's about $70,000 a year to keep a prisoner, and then one prison got people in tents, and we don't turn anyone away. And then I already know that the sick society is what's in prison, and most of them shouldn't be in prison anyway. We know what it's all about, but oh my goodness, I just forgot what I was going to say.
The money for it, the pricing of it.
Oh yeah, what it is
it doesn't come from any public purse. There's no such thing as a public purse. It comes from each individual bond of which they're registered to.
I actually have written to someone on death row. His name's Richard Glossip, and after looking at his case, he shouldn't be there, and he's innocent, and it's just horrible. This man has nearly been put to death 3 times, and the other time I think he might have been, say, 24 or 48 hours or 10 hours. The last time he was minutes from having the IV thing put in when he got a stay of execution. And, now they're finding out even more stuff about his case, which would have helped. And then you start watching some of these cases and they're not even allowed to say things which would prove they're innocent. It's like, oh my goodness.
Because it's out of the legal realm. 3 or 4 years ago, Jack Straw made it illegal for any minor under the age of 16 to speak out against any type of physical, mental, or sexual abuse if that was within the country's care system. Why would they do that?
The army have issued an order that says children can't whistleblow. You see, that's what's governing at the minute. That's not good.
No, exactly. The reason why they do it, that Jack Straw thing, it's because they know what they're doing, don't they?
Exactly. They're eradicating the crimes. They're normalising it.
And we've allowed it. We've stood for it. We've not done anything. To be fair, we might be chatting about it now, which is honourable. But
it's okay saying we haven't done anything about it, but they do it behind closed doors. It's skullduggery. It's all smoke and mirrors. And it's all the smile behind the veil. It's the hand behind the cloth. There's other events breaking out in the country while these things are passed through. It's fraudulent what's happening. The people are having no say. Man-made government, and the government is to bow to the people. However, it's twisted it to persons and overlaid the law like an onion and overlaid the jurisdictions. And this is where man and persons are getting mixed up as to who they are. If I can just reiterate that for and on the record, a person is a 2D piece of paper. It's stationary. and it's always stationary until you move it. And when you move it and take up that role, then enact that person. It's like putting on a coat, and you're going to cop its fines and forfeitures and maybe incarceration before you've got time to take it off again. You must realise what a person is. Have a look in the dictionary. It's an actor. It's someone who takes up the role. When you look at a script, it's got the persons on there. It's all there in the wordage. It's all there in the verbiage. You've got to know what and who you are. It starts with yourself within. This is what we promote on the health and the wealth. You have to know whom you are before you can start speaking in the realms of the law.
Person, yeah, you've got personage in court, which is the personage, the crime at
Personage
the
and
barrister.
barratry, that's what's happening
Barratry
here.
at the bar, yeah. And Latin, personam is mask, and it says the mask and the use of mask in Latin.
Usurping, that's what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've got a question, Karen. Why is there no thumbs up now where there was before?
What do you mean?
You have a look at the chat now. It says no thumbs up.
I can't look at it right now because I just don't want. I just don't.
Well, I'm telling you, no thumbs up and 9 down. But before there were thumbs up. There's always thumbs up. I thumb up all the time. Something's going on. YouTube, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Being monitored. No thumbs up, really? That is unique. But there was before. Maybe it's a glitch. No, come back.
It could be a glitch, yeah. But I suggest everyone hit the thumbs up, please, if you care to.
I'm just going to have a look. Well, try to. My computer's so slow with Hangouts.
But thumbs, yes, thumbs up. That's the thing. Person. So your person, as Andy was eloquently putting it, then is your instrument, and it speaks a language, Andy, doesn't it? It speaks a language. Let's finish that off. Sign language. The person, it speaks a language.
The person is
uppercase
language, text dogma. It speaks.
Yeah,
it's sign language.
Thumbs up, though. Thumbs up, Andy. What can we say about thumbs up? Come on, to person, sign language, and what's the language of man, and what does he use? Thumbs, thumbprints, and
well, this is it. You see, your valuable consideration.
Give them the thumbs up, brother. Go on, lay them the thumbs up.
Yeah. See, some may use a family crest and a stamp and whatnot. I use the good old layman thumb, that which the good Creator gave to me. That which they use when you are incarcerated or wrongfully arrested or whatever else, when they take your prints and your DNA, it's always your prints. They don't wait for your rubber stamp from the ecclesiastical side of your canon law, do they?
And if you're drafting a document like a last will and testament that I mentioned at the beginning of the chat, if you're in a common law relationship like soulmates and stuff, and you want to draft up your last will and testament, a declaration of trust, ring fence, property, assets, whatever, X, Y, and Z, you'd probably notarize, that document and seal it with thumbprints and an autograph over it.
It.
Yeah, it was autonomously
authorise
autonomously.
That's right.
But you're giving it the authority, and AU, periodic table of gold, all words that begin with AU have got some kick-ass power to them, like authority, author, autonomous. I can't think of any other, but you can word search them. AU, periodic element table, gold. That's what it stands for. And Thor is a god. So, or gold, you've got gold and god reference in this word already, author. And then you got you autonomously write it by hand, and you would note at the bottom that it's by the set law, by
written
whatever
by the hand
position.
of God. That's what it is. All because we are in His image. We are the creation of Him, and we are in His image.
Thor, good link. This is what I'm trying to tediously link.
We're in the reflection of. We are granted dominion of. Man is born unto the land for remedy and unto the benefit of his person. And when you realise that you're a man and not a person, you'll be able to get the remedy and the benefit from that.
So thumbs up to Astral Thief for mentioning the thumbs whilst we're on about person, because then we can seal that with the ending of how to.
It wasn't me, Indy. It was someone in the chat who said there's no thumbs up. I was like, what? I've seen thumbs up, So yeah, I'll just keep my eye.
That was a nice bit of synchronicity there, anyway, just to cement that end, because that made my brain think, oh yeah, thumbs, man, come on, we should put that in.
It's best to live without expectation. Boom.
Not always so easy, though, is it? It's not always. It's not
Yeah,
always so easy, though,
see,
isn't it?
and you think patience is a virtue. That's right, that they all are virtuous. This is to master them all, and that's when you will be at one with yourself, to know who and what you are at any given realm, any given environment, any given state, and any given next man's state, what you're going to do in that realm.
Yeah, when the old Bill and the constabulary, to be fair, when we're not calling them old Bill, they arrest one and they detain. They don't ask for a coat of arms or a signature, do they, to identify? What do they take, everybody? They take your prints, your dannies, you know, the thumbprints, the index finger, all of them. They print you and identify. They take DNA now, to be fair, but
They
olden
take the
days.
prints away from you, that's right, and they
you
bestow
see?
their rights and wishes upon you through acquiescence. To understand is to stand under. So when they read you your rights and say, do you understand? You say yes. Then you are now standing under every right and wish that they bestow upon you, upon your person, not knowing that that is a 2D fictional character, not that they are causing harm and loss and tort through tacit agreement upon the living flesh and blood.
Yeah, because a person is an employee of the government, and the government own the employees and persons. So really, they're moving their own stock around now, and they're making money and revenue from it using the man's account, which is an insult to man.
Account.
It's an insult,
Bondage, that's
you know.
what it's all about, exactly.
We're skint. We've got no money. Shh! Don't tell them.
Let's make up a word. What should we call it? Oh, austerity. Yeah, throw that out there.
Game over. The game is up, guys. You've got a way out. That's basically it. There is a way out. The internet has been waiting. Man's been waiting. There is remedy. Half of it is knowing who you are. The other half is using this technology well.
Verbiage. It's all in your spells. Know what you wish for.
You can use the channel to say you've got remedy for most civil legal situations that crop up on man. You know, there is a mitigation before the litigation, and we can mitigate pretty much everything out, or we can teach you guys and others how to mitigate for yourself. That's all we do. We've become mitigation experts by accident. I used to be DJing, and Andy used to be doing other things as well. We didn't aim to do this, but now we've applied it in such a way and met others. Yeah, we was interested in stuff, but we didn't mean to do all of this. And, you know, I've asked for help. Andy's stepped up. Admins have come and gone. We've reformed the group. We've been attacked loads of times, and we've had smear campaigns. You know, we went to Liverpool and showed our worth and picked up a few thousand, 1,200 or so new members over 4 months, and then we've gone over to America by means of YouTube and you and Facebook and everything, and it's getting really fast. So man's working out that we have you know, not much ego. We're two idiots, to be fair, aren't we, Andy? And
absolutely,
we're just
mistake an idiot for a fool.
Yeah, we're just happy to bring the confusion to an end, because it's about time. Enough blood and battles have been spilled, and you know, we're family. No matter whether we're brown skin, white skin, you know, import,
race,
export,
religion, creed, colour, sexuality. It matters not. We are one. Search
Princess Scotia. And look at how she brought over the you know, the Stone of Scone and the Stone of Destiny that was up in Scotland, that now under the royal monarch's throne of the United Kingdom, and why the Scottish have red hair, because this princess come over with red hair, and why the English now, you know, these white Anglo-Saxon Protestants that are contacting me to talk about Tommy Robinson's. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not white Anglo, I'm Anglo. Yeah, I might be Protestant, Saxon, I don't know. Yeah, I've got Irish, Italian, white, you know, genes in me. I'm mixed up, mate. So I'm not on the same level as you, you know, with your white, you know, regime and how you want to think of it. I said, you know, most men have got Egyptian blood because of the lineage. You need to research it and know who you are before you start calling yourself a white Anglo-Saxon that's got Egyptian lineage, you know, and stuff like that. You can't think that. Man doesn't know literally in law who he is, and with actual history, we haven't got a Scooby-Doo what's gone off. It's been hidden from us. But that Stone of Destiny, which is the Stone of Scone, or AKA, which has been moved around and which the Queen sits on with such vigilance and authority, you know, we give them the power, these monarchs and lords and ministers. Yeah, and they purport to have this like, you know, governance of power hierarchy and above man, but they're not. We appointed them. We gave them power.
didn't we? Yeah, well, sovereignty, the Queen, yes, I'm the only one with sovereignty, you know, Parliament and the Queen, but, you know, you've got the essence of the Creator in you. So, you know, we're all equal under the eyes of God, aren't we? Creator, Lord.
When he
The
created the
created in the
dominion
image.
that we're
Equal.
up on,
Yeah.
the terra firma, mate, he called it heaven. Heaven is up on earth, and that's why it's within. Everything is within, because we are in that image. If we was absolutely perfect, all of us, we would be the Creator himself. However, we only can endeavour to try to have goodwill and good intent and do that which is right and proper.
No, but we need to salvage you into Admiralty. Come into the court and let me salvage you, my child. Come on. You've been naughty, you know.
Juvenile delinquent.
You need to pay your debt
Exactly.
to society. Well, it's not a debt to society. It's actually the
You
crown
need to be
generating
ruled.
revenue. Yeah, the crown
Schooled and
generating
ruled,
revenue.
exactly that. Dominated.
You're not in trouble. There's nobody in trouble there. There's no harmed man. Where is the victim? Where is the crime? There isn't one. Well, then this is all just a farce, isn't it? Yeah, you know, people are
Fakery
hanging
and
themselves.
mockery.
Suicide over debt. There is no debt, guys. You don't. Anybody that you know that's worried like that, or if you're worried about debt, Andy, there is no debt, is there? Everybody's in debt.
Come and speak to us if you're in
It's a
debt, or
joke.
if you think that you're in debt, and we'll show you that there is no such thing. It's just a word. It has no substance, and it has no backing. Only that of a belief system. The fiat currency has no substance. Go check it out. Since 1931.
We can turn you into a walking central bank within an hour. Basically, you need a pen, a red ink pad, a pen, a red ink pad, and an hour to chat to us, and we'll basically turn it around.
Due diligence. That's right.
You can get an Asda value sheet of paper, to be fair, you know, or a Tesco, other such markets. Sorry, shouldn't have done that, but yeah, you know, get some value sheet of paper, and you can transform that into a very, very valuable document, internationally recognised, military recognised, whatever you want, judicial recognised. You just need a value sheet of paper, you know, and a bit of the, you know, the pen, the sword, just comes out, and off you go. Command. You are the general. And this is what you need. The man needs to recognise in more than one way. You know, the capacity of. There's master, mister, master, meister.
Hello.
Hello.
Just
Executive
checking
General
then.
of the
It went
Estate's
deadly
calling.
silent then. Yeah.
I was just reflected.
Can I just say that it's an amazing chat, and I really appreciate you coming on. We have been going for 3 hours. Would you like to talk a bit more, or do you think it's a good time to?
That would be a lovely time for me to duck out then and say thank you for inviting me and having me on, and thank you to all the listeners and the chat room. And I've got to go and attend my steering wheel tomorrow in a professional capacity, so I must lay my head and have adequate rest. So
Okay, could we just say goodbye off air? But everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for listening in. It's been a really great chat, and hopefully you've learned something, or can see what all these great people are doing. So thank you, Andy. Thank you, David. Thank you, James, in his way. Astral,
nice one.
Flat Earth Dude, and Patricia, who's not here right now, but
yeah, thank you to Karen and you guys.
Hey.
Is there Flat Earth Dude still there, by the way?
Yeah, Flat Earth Dude. He's working.
He's working.
He's 8 hours behind.
he had someone coming to look at his property, did he say? An estate agent?
Oh, that was James. James is tomorrow in New Zealand.
James is ahead in future.
Yeah, right. He's in our future.
Yeah, also am I, actually.
Yeah, you are to me, yeah.
Don't suffer your future and don't suffer your past.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. And
it's a state of mind. Be in the now.
By the way, Indy, that electric socket behind you, be careful with that bugger, man.
Oh yeah, it's just extended. It's all good. There's nothing wrong with it.
Looks a bit iffy to me.
Man's DJ'd in Greece, and he had an adapter that had 10 on it. I was like, "Are you for real? 10? Nobody ever has 10." And he went, "It's fine. You plug in, DJ, and go." I went, "Okay, boss." Don't worry. I've dealt with electrics, and we're safe.
All right, good.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Look, guys.
It's lawful, legal, safe. Thank you. Peace and love.
Thank you so much, everybody, as I say, on the panel, and everybody in the chat room for being here. with us this evening. We're back tomorrow with Lifting the Lid. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Again. It's taking ages to turn off. I think we're still live. I've pressed the button. Come on. I think they can still see and everything. It's just not turning off.
No, I did that to me once. Did that to me. It ran on for about 2 hours. I was like, why won't it end? He said it ended.
We're gonna have to sing a song, Flat Earth, dude.
Yeah, well, I think we're still live. It just won't turn off. I think if I kill the
check.
actual hangout.
Get the slide guitar out.
I'll check. Let me see. I'll go on the channel and see.
I think we're still live. It says live. Sorry, everybody. I can't turn the button off at the moment.
It did that to me though the other day. This is,
It says live on my device.
Yep.
Oh, it's still live. I'm sorry.